Chapter 860. Mr. Jiang. You are a hero. You are our savior. She knelt down in front of Jiang Tian. She was so touched that tears streamed down her face. Her mother-in-law and son also knelt down in front of Jiang Tian and started to sob. No, your husband is the hero. Jiang Tian helped Sister Li and the others up and said gently, Mr. Jiang, I thank you for saving our family, but I can't take this land. I don't want money. Sister Li said. Sister Li, you have to take it. Jiang Tian said gently. All the profits from the project will be used to set up the Anti-Drug Heroes Foundation. You will be in charge of it. All the funds will be used to support the heroes and their widows and orphans. Li, just accept it. This is Master Kang's goodwill. Tang Weimin also tried to persuade her. Okay. Li pondered for a long time and finally nodded. She took a deep breath and looked at everyone with tears in her eyes. Thank you to the party and the government for never forgetting us. Thank you to Master Kang for being such good people. With you, the fire of justice will be passed down. I will manage this foundation well. Salute to Secretary Tang, to the heroes, to Sister Li, and to Master Kang. Captain Zhou shouted in the crowd. His tears fell like rain as he saluted Jiang Tian. Clap. All the police officers, cadres, and onlookers looked solemn and respectful. They raised their hands and saluted them. They bowed to Yang Jun's portrait on the wall. In the future, I want to be like my father and Mr. Jiang. I want to be a hero like them. Sister Li's son wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes. He looked determined. After the crowd gradually dispersed, Jiang Tian and Tang Weimin sat in the bun shop and chatted for a while. I heard that your father has resigned from his job. What a pity, his political talent is no less than mine. Tang Weimin sighed. My father sacrificed a lot for me. Jiang Tian shook his head and sighed. Then he asked, Secretary Tang, why are you here? Elder Chow told me. I guess that you must have come to Linzhou. After confirming with your father-in-law, I brought people here to look for you. I didn't expect to run into this matter, so I took care of it. Tang Weimin said. Why are you looking for me? Jiang Tian asked. Elder Chow said that Yi Tianren already knows that you've come to Linzhou. I'm afraid he'll rush over immediately. Tang Weimin's expression was grave. What Elder Chow means is that he hopes that you can avoid this. After all, you are the pillars of Wuxia. This old fellow is really too obsessed with martial arts. Jiang Tian smiled bitterly and shook his head. However, please tell Elder Chow that I will show mercy to Yi Tianren. Master Kang, are you confident in this battle? There are rumors on the streets. Tang Weimin said curiously. Haha, I've lost all my cultivation. It's fake. Jiang Tian smiled and said. Yi Tianren is indeed powerful, but I can kill him with one slap. Then why don't you explain? Tang Weimin's expression was even more curious. Alas, the team needs to be able to withstand the test. I want to kick out a two-faced person. This is a good opportunity, Jiang Tian said. In the future, the immortal ruins and secret realms might come on a large scale. Tianqing School would face unprecedented challenges. This required a group of loyal officials and fierce generals. It was best to find people with evil intentions like Qin Zhong and Chen Zifen in time, and get rid of them as soon as possible. I see. Tang Weimin's eyes lit up. He clapped his hands and said with a smile. As expected, Master Kang can lead a country and a sect. You really know how to control your subordinates. This is called loosening the reins to catch them, and luring the snake out of its hole. Jiang Tian smiled but didn't say anything. He sipped his tea. By the way, Master Kang, you've done a great favor for the Tang family. This time you're back in Linzhou. No matter what, I have to be a good host. Tang Weimin said enthusiastically. Next to him, the leaders of the province and Linzhou also echoed. Right now Jiang Tian had too many resources under his control. Whoever could cooperate with him would be able to produce dazzling political achievements and soar to the top. Secretary Tang, I appreciate your kindness. Jiang Tian waved his hand and refused. However, I came back this time to accompany my wife and relax. I don't want to entertain anyone. Of course, Linzhou is my second hometown. I met and fell in love with my wife here. I still have feelings for this place. Sidoni's investment in Wuxia will focus on Linzhou. Tang Weiman and the others were overjoyed when they heard this and thanked him profusely. They also kept in touch with Zhao Qianru and hoped to sit down and chat with Jiang Tian when he was free. As they spoke, the night fell. The annual Internet Celebrity Ceremony on the Look at Me platform was about to start. Jiang Tian and the other two bid farewell to Tang Weiman and rushed to the venue. On the way, Zhao Qianru was excited. Brother-in-law, there were 200,000 people watching the livestream in the afternoon. The tips have exceeded 100,000 yuan. As for me, I've been promoted to the third most popular livestream on the platform. The way you beat people up is really cool. Now you're known as the little white dragon of the waves by the netizens. You're also an internet celebrity. Ahem, Chinger. I was too impulsive just now. The murderous aura was a little too strong. Jiang Tian always remembered the prenatal education plan and looked at Chinger apologetically. This isn't murderous aura, this is righteousness. Punishing evil can promote good. This time I support you. Unexpectedly, Zhao Xueqing wasn't angry at all. She even praised Jiang Tian with a smile in her beautiful eyes. I'll hit whoever my wife tells me to. I'll hit wherever she points. Jiang Tian kissed Zhao Xueqing on the cheek. I'm so full of this dog food that I'm about to die. Can the two of you stop feeding each other dog food? Zhao Qianru was very depressed. The Internet Celebrity Entertainment Ceremony was held at the Linzhou Convention and Exhibition Center. Zhao Qianru quickly gathered with a few internet celebrities under her. She entered the venue with Jiang Tian and his wife. In front of the venue was a stage. The lights were bright and the decorations were exquisite. There were many jewelry, red wine, and cosmetics as gifts for the livestream. Below the stage, a grand cocktail party was set up. In the venue, many popular internet celebrities were gathered. The internet celebrities would bring some fans for fun. Some of these fans were real and some were fake. Some were the managers of internet celebrities who helped them get gifts and rank. Almost all the internet celebrities had started their live streams. They were posing coquettishly in front of their phones, performing their talents, interacting with their fans, and asking for votes for gifts. Little Ruru is here. Amazing. She's now ranked 5th on the platform. Yeah, she's rising too quickly. She might even squeeze Wanwan and Cutie Li down. The moment Zhao Qianru entered, she immediately attracted the attention of many internet celebrities and fans. Their gazes all turned to her. Zhao Qianru was simply a refreshing stream in the livestream world. She was an anomaly. She did not sing or dance. She did not use her beauty filter to slim down her face. She did not call her fans little brothers. She specialized in exploring those nameless folk heroes and doing good deeds. It turned out that Zhao Qianru did not have many fans. Her ranking in the livestream world was not high. However, this afternoon, her livestream of Jiang Tian supporting Sister Li and beating up the bully attracted a lot of fans. Now her fan ranking had risen to the top 5 on the platform. After Zhao Qianru sat down, she also started her livestream. She interacted with her fans and asked for votes and gifts. At this moment, the internet celebrity, Wanwan, walked over. This woman's makeup was exquisite and her clothes were luxurious and seductive. She was quite beautiful. She smiled and said, Little Ruru, is this handsome guy Little White Dragon in the waves? Can you lend him to me for a night and do a live stream with me? Help me attract some fans and help me rank. The video of Little White Dragon beating someone up this afternoon was too handsome. Wanwan noticed it at that time. Now many fans were interested in Little White Dragon. It was the most suitable to use him to draw attention. Most importantly, she realized that Jiang Tian was too handsome. He was so handsome that she felt like a kitten was scratching her heart. I'm afraid he's not interested in this. Zhao Qianru declined. How can he not be interested? If he live streams with me, he will also gain more fans. Wanwan hugged Jiang Tian's arm and gently rubbed her plump chest. She then whispered in Jiang Tian's ear, Handsome Little White Dragon, please help me. You won't refuse, right? Jiang Tian broke free and shouted coldly with a frown. Stay away from me. I don't want to have any physical contact with strangers, especially women. I'm just asking you for a small favor. I'm not a ghost. I don't know how many rich second-generation rich people want to know me. Wanwan did not expect Jiang Tian to be so cold. She lit up a cigarette and muttered in dissatisfaction. She was one of the top internet celebrities on the platform. Many rich people were attracted to her and had their imaginations run wild. Just a word from her could reach tens of thousands in a few minutes. Many people wanted to see her but could not. Put out the cigarette. Jiang Tian frowned and said coldly, "My wife is pregnant. I won't put it out." So what? So what if you're pregnant? Wanwan had always been a low-class person. Now that she felt embarrassed by Jiang Tian, she was full of resentment and even got excited. Slap. The crisp sound of a slap shocked the audience. Everyone stared in disbelief at Jiang Tian and Wanwan, the internet celebrity who was being beaten up. With Jiang Tian's identity, he was too lazy to argue with such a small character. However, she kept provoking the pregnant Zhao Xueqing. So Jiang Tian would not be polite. Even if he killed these people, it did not matter to Jiang Tian. Who is this person? How dare he slap the girlfriend of the Crown Prince of Beijing? I'm afraid he will be cut into pieces. The internet celebrities and fans around them could not believe it. Wanwan was just an internet celebrity, but her boyfriend's background was too powerful. Her boyfriend was Zhang Huchen, one of the top princes in Yanjin. No one dared to provoke him. How dare you hit me? Do you know who my boyfriend is? The cigarette in Wanwan's mouth had already flown out. Her face was red and swollen, and blood oozed out from the corner of her mouth. Slap! Another slap. This time, Jiang Tian slapped her, and she fell to the ground. Everyone was shocked. Jiang Tian hit Wanwan because she was smoking in front of him. You may have a powerful background, but can you compare with Zhang Huchen of the Zhang family in Beijing? Can you protect him? Things are getting out of hand. Fine, just you wait. Don't run if you dare. Wanwan was helped up by a few friends. She glared at Jiang Tian viciously. Run. Why should I run? But let me remind you, if you want to compete with me, you will regret it. Jiang Tian smiled and said, Compete with you? What's so great about you? I will return the 2 slaps in front of everyone. Wanwan was so angry that her body trembled and she gritted her teeth. No matter what, she was still a girl and the girlfriend of Zhang Huchen, the young master of Beijing. She couldn't take it lying down after being slapped in public. Chapter 861. If you say any more nonsense, I'll hit you again. Jiang Tian waved his hand. Wanwan was shocked. She took a few steps back and ran out of the door. She made a call and called someone. Jiang Tian, don't hit people. She wanted to get close to you. Don't be unhappy when you come out to play. Zhao Xueqing said softly. She dares to smoke in front of you and let you and my baby daughter smoke secondhand smoke. It wouldn't be too much for me to kill her. Jiang Tian snorted with a gloomy face. Wanwan, are you okay? The female internet celebrity called cutely went over and pulled the internet celebrity Wanwan, asking with concern. This cutely, S real name was Yang Xueli. She was one of the top celebrities on Watch Me, with more than 20 million fans. She didn't have any talent. When she was young, she was a delinquent girl. She didn't know how to sing or dance. Her looks were very average and her teeth weren't even neat. However, the special effects of the live broadcast platform were too good. If she turned on the special effects to the maximum, she could immediately turn into a great beauty. Her voice was hoarse from smoking and drinking too much, and her pitch was off the mark. After hundreds of thousands of sound cards, she could actually disguise herself as a smoker's voice, which attracted a lot of loser fans. Cutely really made a lot of money on the live broadcast platform. It was said that she had a net income of millions a month. At this moment, she looked concerned on the surface, but she was gloating in her heart. She also didn't like Zhao Qianru and Jiang Tian. Now that Jiang Tian hit Zhang Huchen's girlfriend, they were in big trouble. One had to know that Zhang Huchen and his cousin Zhang Yilin were executives of the Watch Me platform. They could ban Zhao Qianru with just a word. When my boyfriend comes, I'll make them kneel down and beg me. Wanwan said angrily as she covered her burning face with her hand. Cutely was overjoyed. Zhao Qianru's pain today was too big. Originally, she wanted to trample on Zhao Qianru, but she didn't dare to do anything else. However, Zhang Huchen was different. He was the young master of a famous family. If he wanted to kill someone, it would be a matter of minutes. Don't worry, Wanwan. I'll help you vent your anger. Cutie Li patted her shoulder and walked towards Jiang Tian with a fat fan. Little Ruru, do you think you can compete with me for first place? You're still far from it. Jiang Tian was chatting with Zhao Qianru when suddenly, a voice full of ridicule sounded. Cutie Li sneered. What's so attractive about your bullshit anti-drug hero Yang Jun's deeds? Who would reward you? But I only need to sell my information number, and I can leave you far behind. I don't want to compete with you for first place. I just want to spread what I want to spread. Zhao Qianru frowned, glanced at Cutie Li, and sneered. Zhao Huqing's family assets were now in the billions, and Zhao Qianru was actually a real beauty. She was only doing live streams out of interest. She just wanted to spread positive energy and help the disadvantaged, not to make money. Competing with an internet celebrity like Cutie Li was too degrading. Hehe, someone like Yang Jun, the anti-drug hero? What's there to watch? He's already dead. If he's dead, then don't come out to scare people, okay? Cutie Li sneered. Don't insult the hero. Zhao Qianru was furious. So what if we insult him? Bite me. Do you think you can compete with Cutie Li just because you want to? Behind Cutie Li, the chubby man snorted coldly and said arrogantly, That's right. Let me tell you, I'm very rich. I can make Cutie Li #1 with just a reward. What about you? Where are your fans? This person was wearing a tuxedo, but he was too fat. He didn't look handsome at all. Instead, he looked more like a fat penguin. In addition, he was wearing a huge gold ring and a gold watch, which made him look even more like a nouveau riche. He looked at Jiang Tian with disdain and said, Are these your fans? They're simply losers to the extreme. Only those losers who can't afford the rewards would watch positive energy live streams. We rich people like to watch singing and dancing. Did I offend you? Are you targeting me? Jiang Tian frowned and looked at the fat man and sneered. Hehe, you're not convinced? If you're not convinced, then let's compete. I'll reward Cutie Li and you reward Xiaoruru. Do you dare to compete? The fat man held a glass of champagne in his chubby hand and shook it gently. He sneered. In the live stream fan circle, who is richer than me? Don't you know my nickname, Li Baiwan? It turned out that this kid's surname was Li. He was a nouveau riche from Jin province. His family owned a mine and loved to watch live streams. When he took a fancy to Cutie Li, he spent 1,000,000 yuan to buy her a gift and used the money to knock her out. Since then, his nickname, Li Baiwan, spread throughout the livestream world. Every time he went to the livestream room, the other fans would cheer. You think you're rich? Zhao Qianru was amused by him. In terms of wealth, who could compare to her brother-in-law? Her brother-in-law was definitely the richest person in the world. I have more than 500 million yuan in cash. Are you not convinced? Do you have it? Fatty Li looked at Jiang Tiandao with disdain. 500 million yuan is nothing. You have the nerve to come out and make a fool of yourself. My fans' assets must be in the trillions of US dollars. Zhao Qianru smiled faintly. This was not an exaggeration. Rockefeller, Morgan, and DuPont's assets were in the trillions of US dollars. Now they were all Jiang Tian's personal assets. Coupled with Jiang Tian's other assets in the European Union and Sidonie, it was difficult to calculate. Haha, you mean he's the richest man in the world? Is he Bill Gates? Fatty Li laughed mockingly. Looking at this guy's dressing, he was clearly a loser. He had no money, but he liked to brag. Was he trying to pretend to be rich? Xiaoruru, are your fans rich? If they are, we can compete in rewards. Do you dare? Cutie Li's chin was raised high, her eyes were high, and she said with disdain and provocation. Sure. Jiang Tian didn't say anything and directly accepted the challenge. If it was in the past, he wouldn't bother to fight with this kind of brainless rich second generation. However, he felt that Zhao Qianru's live broadcast was quite meaningful. It was good for him to help her expand her influence. Anyway, he didn't lack this money. Boom. When Jiang Tian was about to accept the challenge, the audience was in an uproar. Many people were shocked and talked about it. This person is a fool. He actually dares to compete with Li Baiwan in rewards. His family has mines. He was used by Cutie Li. Cutie Li just wants to find someone to compete with so that the fans can reward vigorously. Li Baiwan is too rich. Didn't he look at his watch? It's all Patek Philippe. What does Zhao Qianru's fan have? She will go bankrupt. The fans of the internet celebrities present looked at Jiang Tian contemptuously and couldn't help but sneer. Well, then let's compete in rewards. Whoever withdraws first is the grandson. Fatty Li said mockingly. The loser has to call the other party grandpa. Do you dare? Sure. Jiang Tian agreed without hesitation. Good. Everyone present has to be a witness. I'm afraid that someone will act shamelessly later. Fatty Li directly blocked Jiang Tian's retreat. Today he wanted to trample on Zhao Qianru and Jiang Qina. He wanted to use this opportunity to make Cutie Li popular and trample on the other party to death. Fatty Li directly turned on his mobile phone and entered Cutie Li's room. Without saying a word, he bought the most popular law fight on the platform with 1 million and gave it to Cutie Li. At the scene, a well-dressed hostess immediately walked to the stage, picked up the microphone and said excitedly, "Today the most valuable single reward. 1 million law fight. From Cutie Li's fan, brother Li Baiwan. At present, Cutie Li's total reward tonight has reached 1.03 million. She is ranked first. Congratulations to Cutie Li. Damn, brother Baiwan is too awesome. Reward. Reward. Help Cutie Li get on the list. Cutie Li is the best. I love Cutie Li." In Cutie Li's live broadcast room, the fans were excited and followed up one after another. For a time, all kinds of gifts were flying. Cutie Li also interacted with the fans on the screen, winking, stroking her hair coquettishly, and calling all kinds of little brother. Hee hee, Zhao Qianru, tonight, your reward is less than 30,000. What do you have to compete with me? Cutie Li smiled provocatively. This was also a means to provoke fans to reward. Only by setting up a target and competing with each other could the fans' competitive spirit be aroused and reward desperately. Jiang Tian took out his mobile phone and downloaded the Look at Me live broadcast software. Then, under the guidance of Zhao Qianru, he registered and bound his bank card. Fatty Li put one hand in his pocket, puffed out his chest and folded his stomach. He took a sip of red wine and smiled proudly. What? You don't dare to reward and compete? It's only 1 million. It's just a small amount of money. Are you going to withdraw? 1 million? It's indeed a small amount of money. I really don't know what you are so proud of. Jiang Tian operated his mobile phone a few times, then looked up and smiled coldly. Little White Dragon in the Wave spent 10 million to bid for a diamond from Jones Jewelry, and rewarded it to Little Ruru. Fuck. He really doesn't care about money. The starting price of this diamond is only 10,000. He's completely throwing money. The whole audience was shocked. All the fans and internet celebrities were stunned. Even the organizer was alarmed. In Zhao Qianru's live broadcast room, the number of fans also rose sharply from thousands to 50,000, and it was still increasing. Hee hee, 10 million, not bad. Fatty Li was stunned for a moment, but he soon calmed down. He took out his mobile phone and operated it, then snorted coldly. Let's see if you dare to follow this time. 100 million reward, red wine, jewelry and cosmetics. Crazy. That's awesome. The entire Look at Me live broadcast platform was shocked. Countless fans rushed to Cutie Li's live broadcast room. Fatty Li's money is only transferred from left hand to right hand. The platform will charge 50% of the processing fee, and 50% of the reward will be given to Cutie Li. But Cutie Li probably has an agreement with Fatty Li. Most of the money will still be given to Fatty Li. Some internet celebrities who knew the details said so. But Little Ruru's fan, I'm afraid he won't dare to follow without this agreement. Cutie Li is so lucky to have such a rich fan. There was a lot of discussion around. They were shocked and envious of Cutie Li. Fatty Li directly threw in 100 million. This was a groundbreaking move in the live streaming world. This time. But Fatty Li was rich and had mines at home. Could it be that Jiang Tian still dares to follow? Everyone looked at Jiang Tian, but at this time, Jiang Tian's mobile phone rang. It was Huqing Tian. Master, Yi Tianren has arrived. He's waiting for you at the Lakeview Villa. This time, all the martial arts powerhouses in the world are gathered. You can't not show up anymore. Jiang Tian thought for a moment, smiled faintly and nodded. Okay, I'll go over now. Chapter 862. There must be an end to this matter. Jiang Tian hung up the phone, turned his head, and said gently, Qing'er Yi Tianren is here, I have to go and meet him. You have to be merciful, don't go too far. Mr. Yi is not a bad person. I won't go. It's quite fun here. Zhao Xueqing said with a smile. She didn't plan to follow because she had absolute confidence in Jiang Tian's cultivation. All right, Qianru, take good care of sister. Jiang Tian stood up and said worriedly. Don't worry, brother-in-law. Go do your thing. Zhao Qianru smiled slightly and quickly promised. Phone escape? This wave of phone calls was really good. I want to give you a thumbs up for your wit. Seeing that Jiang Tian was about to slip away, Cutie Lee laughed mockingly. Some losers in the live broadcast room like to tease the streamer even if they don't have money, pretending to be rich. Funny. Jiang Tian just tipped a lot of money, so he can't be considered poor. But since Cutie Lee started live broadcasting, she met too many rich people who like to tip, and her vision has become very high. A mere 10 or 20 million in her eyes can't even be called rich. Haha, I don't have money. I don't dare to follow anymore. Little white dragon in the waves, show me how to wave. Continue tipping. Aren't you rich? Aren't you the richest man in the world? Fatty Lee stuck out his belly like a general who returned from a victory. His face was full of ridicule, and he laughed loudly, very proud and satisfied. He has always tipped a lot, and the other fans in the live broadcast room cheered and worshipped him. The rich people who were suppressed were ashamed and swallowed their anger. Haha, just thinking about it makes people feel good. Although he is now Cutie Lee's promoter, live broadcasting is more like a business. But he still enjoys the pleasure of crushing other rich people. Get lost. Jiang Tian's eyes turned cold. Boom. A monstrous aura came out. Aya, this person is so fierce. Fatty Lee, Cutie Lee, and the others were shocked and took a few steps back. They were frightened, and they made way for Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian calmly rushed to the Lakeview Villa complex. Many martial arts experts had already gathered here. Yi Tianren was sitting cross-legged on top of King's #1 villa. His eyes were lowered and his face was calm like an old monk in meditation. This used to be Jiang Tian's residence. Now that no one was living there, Yi Tianren was entrenched on top of it. It was like a turtle dove occupying a magpie's nest. The entire King's Villa complex, including Coiling Dragon Mountain and Xiao Lake in front of it, had been cordoned off within a radius of 10 miles. Even the richest people in Linzhou who lived here were persuaded to leave by the police, to open up a battlefield for this battle that would shock the world for 100 years. This was already the third time that Yi Tianren had come out of seclusion and invited Kong Teichu to battle. This shocking storm had been going on for months. Yi Tianren had a wide range of friends. He was the most powerful overlord in Wuxia 100 years ago, and the most powerful person in the Republic of China. He had also been listed on the divine roll of the Holy See. He had a brilliant record and was unparalleled. Although Kong Teichu was a rising star, he had risen to power and was undefeated. He controlled a country and a sect, and was the most powerful overlord in the world since the new century. At this time, countless overlords from the martial arts and spellcasters of Wuxia had gathered and were looking forward to the battle. It was a spectacular sight. There were roughly 1,000 overlords present to watch the battle. In addition to the martial arts world, there were also many rich people and senior officials. The martial artists present were basically above the transcendent state. Any one of them was a famous overlord. Each family and sect occupied a mountain and an area. They were like dragons and tigers, and their aura was strict and intimidating. After not seeing Jiang Tian arrive for a long time, everyone had become impatient since long ago, and the sounds of discussion filled the sky while killing intent shot into the sky. Many overlords were angry, and their eyes were red. They discussed and fought with each other to suppress Kong Teichu on the mountain where the Diantsong sect was located. Kong Teichu's disciples are really vicious. They broke into the Diansong Taoist sect and killed a lot of people. In the chaos before, Zhou Zitao had one of his arms broken. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Now that Senior Yi Tianren is here, why doesn't he dare to show up? He's a coward. He's no match for Yi Tianren. Senior Yi is a heavenly being, that's why he's called a heavenly being. On a mountain not far away, Wu Yingxiong, a martial arts tycoon from southwest China, also shouted. To think that my lovely grandson Wu Tiankuan, just because he took an extra glance at him at the foot of Mount Everest, his cultivation was crippled by him. The Wu family had coveted Gu Baixian and Gu Qingqing's incomplete map of the ruins of deity, so they had planted a talisman restriction spell in Gu Baixian's body and threatened him with death. Wu Tiankuan was even more vicious and would kill people for their belongings. When Jiang Tian removed the restriction spell for Gu Baixian, he tried to stop him. However, Jiang Tian only crippled his cultivation, which was the most benevolent thing he could do. It had been a long time since that incident. Wu Yingxiong was afraid of Jiang Tian's power, so he didn't dare to go against Jiang Tian. Instead, he shamelessly became Jiang Tian's disciple. But now, thinking that Jiang Tian was about to be destroyed, Wu Yingxiong immediately jumped out and shouted. That's right. On the roof of a mansion occupied by the Yi family, Yi Wudao also stepped out and said loudly. Behind him were Kai Zhijing, the queen of Jiangxia, Yi Changsheng, Yi Yang'e, and others. Leaf Dao Denier was dressed in a long black robe. His body was as tall as a mountain, and his eyes flashed coldly. His eyes flashed and he said coldly, My son Yi Ji is just a law-abiding businessman. He doesn't practice martial arts and never participates in martial arts disputes. But this afternoon, he was arrested by Jiang Tian and the corrupt officials. He raised his arms and shouted with righteous indignation. Kong Teichu is ruthless and merciless. He has no cultivation and has become a cripple, but he relies on the secular officials to suppress martial artists. He is despicable and shameless. Shameless bastard. He colluded with the officials and acted as their lackey. He has lost the spirit of martial arts. He has always been like this. He has always colluded with the officials. He is so shameless. The crowd suddenly burst into an uproar. The crowd was full of mockery. Martial artists liked to be free and unrestrained. They killed and robbed. Everyone was angry at the mention of the officials. More importantly, Kong Teichu also keeps demon beasts. The old man heard that he has a demon ape and a dragon. Boom! An expert took a step forward and loudly shouted, That's right. Since ancient times, demon beasts appeared frequently and caused chaos in the world. They committed heinous crimes. The man was wearing a Taoist robe, and his white hair fluttered in the wind. He was an immortal state cultivator. He was Taoist Master Xuanji, an elder of the Amei sect of Mount Shu. He was of the same generation as Yi Tianren. However, his cheeks were swollen. It was obvious that he had been beaten up before. Although he looked serious, he still looked funny. Since the founding of the Amei sect, the White Brow Immortal, the ancestors of the Amei sect have taken it as their duty to kill demons. I didn't expect Kong Teichu to collude with demon beasts. Such behavior is tantamount to a public disaster in the martial arts world. He is the public enemy of mankind. Taoist Master Xuanji is right. Humans and demons are different. Demon beasts are bloodthirsty, cruel, and inhumane. Kong Teichu keeps demon beasts with ill intentions. He deserves to be killed. A beast is a beast. We can't keep a tiger in our belly. Let me see. When Kong Teichu comes, we don't need to follow the rules of the martial arts world. We can just swarm him and cut him into pieces. Everyone was filled with righteous indignation and flew into a rage. They all pulled out their swords and sabers. Cold light flashed as they cursed. Haha, humans and demons are different. Demon beasts are bloodthirsty and cruel. Everyone's knowledge is truly laughable. A majestic voice rose from the ground in the distance. It floated over the clouds and the lake. That sacred battle ape once cooperated with Master Kong to fight thousands of soldiers and horses. They defeated the 28th Japanese Mixed Brigade and made the Sakura Society beg for mercy. The evil dragon that you speak of once helped Kong Teichu to fight against the Blue Storm and the Pantheon of Gods. It almost died. What about you? When Kong Techu dominated the world and fought for Wuxia, where were you? You're just bullying the weak in your country and interfering with the order of the world. The beasts that you speak of were once brave and good at fighting and made contributions to the country. But you can't do it. Doesn't that mean that everyone here is worse than beasts? Who are you? Today, the heroes of the world are gathered here. How dare you scold us? What's the point of hiding in the dark and cursing? If you have the guts, do you dare to fight with me? Hearing that, everyone was even more furious. They were so angry that they jumped and shouted. A few kilometers away, on the other side of Xiu Lake, a few figures dressed in green Taoist robes suddenly soared into the sky like dragons and walked over step by step. They came so quickly. With a single step, they traversed the distance of several hundred meters. Their berserk auras shook the surface of the lake, causing huge waves to rise to the sky. They were like shooting stars chasing after the moon. Do you want to fight with an old man? Very good. You're quite promising. The leader was a white-haired old man with a dignified appearance. His majestic and domineering voice was like a yellow bell, shocking people. Disciples Huqing Tian, Wei Feilong, Zhao Yuankuan, Huang Linger, and Tang Linglong from the overseas Tianqing sect. Situ Shao, Wuqing Tian, Wei Feilong, Zhao Yuankuan, Huang Linger, and Tang Linglong have come to Wuxia to greet our friends from the Wuxia martial arts world. Boom. His aura was like an azure dragon and his voice was like thunder. Every sound was accompanied by a huge spiritual pressure. When they flew to the foot of Panlong Mountain, their voices and soul energy were like thunder, making the ground tremble, dust fly and trees break. Even the grandmasters of the transcendent state were dizzy. They were so annoyed that they almost vomited on the spot. The children under the transcendent state vomited blood, and the long swords in their hands fell to the ground with clanking sounds. Even though the immortal state overlords could withstand the soul energy and wouldn't be injured, they still felt uncomfortable. They used their cultivation arts to protect themselves, and stepped back a few steps. Their eyes were full of fear, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. When Situ Shao and the others landed at the foot of the mountain, the entire area was silent. Thousands of overlords and tycoons were all silent, and no one dared to say a word. Everyone was startled, and the same thought came to their minds. It's said that Jiang Taichu's sect is full of talents. His wife and several of his personal disciples are extremely powerful. They are all at the deity realm and human immortal realm. It used to sound like a fantasy story. Now that I've seen it with my own eyes, it's true. Only Yi Tianren sat on the top of the king's mansion without moving. Situ Shao, I didn't expect you to turn over a new leaf and become Master Kang's disciple. Congratulations. Suddenly Yi Tianren opened his eyes. His gaze was like cold lightning as he looked at Situ Shao. An incomparably vast and surging mental energy was like a torrential downpour of the Milky Way as it violently pushed towards Situ Shao like raging waves. Chapter 863. Although Situ Shao had been living overseas for many years, he had never forgotten that he was a descendant of the Wuxia. He had been protecting his country and the interests of the Chinese people all his life. He had never turned over a new leaf. At the same time, Situ Shao also looked up at the mountain as a cold light flashed in his eyes. You and I are just different ideologies. It was a matter of the past. Situ Shao had been living overseas since the late Qing dynasty, and had stopped his lifespan a few decades ago. His descendants, Situ Yuanhao and Situ Jia, had supported the founding father of the nation, Sun Wen. However, when they tried to promote the Hong sect on the mainland, they were hunted down by Yi Tianren and the Huaxialong formation. The Situ family and the Hong sect had suffered many casualties. Therefore, although Situ Shao and Yi Tianren had never fought each other before, they both knew each other well and viewed each other as their greatest enemy. Kaboom! Two incomparably violent spiritual powers met halfway up the mountain and exploded like a bomb. A white ring of clouds rippled in the air and expanded to a diameter of 1,000 meters. The impact caused the earth to tremble and dust to rise into the air. You are indeed Yi Tianren. Your soul energy is as dense as a mountain and as vast as the sea. It is not a shame that you killed the descendant of the Hong sect. Situ Zhao's eyes were as sharp as knives as he sneered. Tonight, you are worthy of my master giving you a few pointers in your cultivation. Oh, does that mean Master Kong is coming? Yi Tianren's face hardened as his eyes glowed with excitement. His battle lust soared to the sky like a dragon. Master is already on his way here. Everyone, please calm down. Situ Zhao's dignified gaze swept the surroundings as he spoke in a deep voice. What? He has lost all his power and he still dares to come? Someone screamed in disbelief. Humph! Why wouldn't Kong Teichu come? Taoist Master Xuanji flung his sleeves in disdain. Although Kong Teichu doesn't have a cultivation base, he has a few disciples who flatter him. Xuanji, your face is still swollen. It's still so round. Yet you still want me to touch you. Situ Xiao coldly snorted with a face full of ridicule. That's right, the swelling on Xuanji's face was caused by Situ Xiao, who had attacked a Mei sect a few days ago. Situ, you're so boring. Are you worthy of being called an expert and a grandmaster of a sect? Hearing this, Dao Elder Xuanji blushed in embarrassment. Then he anxiously shouted with a pale face. Today is the battle between Yi Tianren and Kong Teichu, so of course you can't help them. Otherwise, you will have an unfair advantage. If everyone doesn't follow the rules of martial arts and rushes forward, how many nails can Tianqing School crush if you are made of iron? How is my senior brother Situ bored? At that time, you were slapped into the mountain rocks by senior brother Situ. Tang Linglong added insult to injury. At the side, Huang Linger laughed. She covered her mouth with her jade-like hand and stared hard at Taoist Master Xuanji's swollen face. Taoist Master Xuanji's face was as red as blood. Can we not talk about this anymore? Senior brother Situ only spared your life after you handed over more than 10 famous swords of the Mei sect and pledged your loyalty to Tianqing School. Who would have thought that you would take the opportunity to escape? Tang Linglong continued to mock him. Nonsense. What nonsense? This old man, Master Xuanji, has never been weaker than anyone in his life. Taoist Master Xuanji flung his sleeves angrily. He wanted to cry but had no tears. He really wanted to disappear on the spot. Dare I ask, what happened to your face? Did you hit your head against a tree? Tang Linglong asked relentlessly. Master Xuanji, don't need to explain my actions to you. Taoist Master Xuanji flung his sleeves again and stood with his hands behind his back. Damn it, this girl is so annoying. All right, Linglong, don't bother with this trash. Situ Xiao laughed contemptuously. Xuanji, aren't you just trying to kill my master with your numbers advantage? Fine, I'll say it now. My master alone is enough to deal with trash like you. Everyone was shocked when they heard his words. Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. Hadn't Kong Teichu lost all his cultivation? Situ Xiao still dared to say such arrogant words. Wasn't this pushing Kong Teichu into a fire pit? Good. You have to remember this clearly. None of you are allowed to attack later. Taoist Master Xuanji was overjoyed and said coldly, with Yi Tianren as our trump card, I'd like to see how arrogant Kong Teichu can be after losing all his cultivation. Yes. As long as you don't attack, Kong Teichu is a piece of trash. We'll take that old man's life first. Zhou Zitao said happily. Then he burst into tears and looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle. Big brother, senior brothers, junior brothers, do you see this from heaven? Kong Teichu, that demon, is going to die today. If Kong Teichu dies in the hands of Yi Tianren, you and I will join hands and take down the entire martial arts world of Wuxia. Wu Yingxiong whispered in Yi Wudao's ear. Kong Teichu isn't very smart. He doesn't know how to hide his strength and bide his time. He's going to die in the end. Behind Yi Wudao, the charming Kai Zhijing wore a Chongsam. Her eyes were full of contempt as she whispered mockingly. Kong Teichu has lost his cultivation, so he shouldn't be so arrogant. But he still hasn't stopped. He's still stirring up a storm of blood in Wuxia and offending so many people. Even if he has an expert disciple, how can he have a disciple to protect him every day? Once he's alone, he'll die sooner or later. Today there's no need for Yi Tianren to attack. Yi Wudao will kill Kong Teichu and avenge my crippled son. Yi Wudao nodded and said coldly. Yi Wudao, I heard you want to kill me? Come, my head is here for you to chop off. Right at this moment, along with a lukewarm voice, a small boat swayed out from an expanse of lotuses far away from embroidered lake. On the bow of the boat, a young man in a white robe with long hair draped over his shoulders stood with his hands behind his back. His lips parted slightly as he spoke calmly. In the instant that Kong Taechu came out, the entire audience turned solemn. In a radius of several kilometers, there was a deathly stillness. It was so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. All the clamor seemed to be absorbed by the enormous invisible sea surface, leaving not even a trickle behind. In the entire Lakeview Villa district, everyone was motionless, turning into a still picture. He's here. Yi Wudao's face turned cold, and his pupils suddenly shrunk to the size of a needle. For a long time he didn't say a word. A man's name, a tree's shadow. Even if it was rumored that Kong Taechu had lost his cultivation, he still felt a deep fear upon seeing Jiang Tian again. Yi Wudao, don't you want revenge? Why aren't you talking? I've already killed your bastard son. Come on, avenge your son. Jiang Tian raised his hand, and a head flew out, dripping with blood. Son, my poor son. You actually killed my son. Yi Wudao held Yi Ji's head in his arms, dumbstruck. He couldn't help but tear up as he screamed miserably. He had given birth to Yi Ji when he was 60 years old. Because he had a son when he was old, he doted on him very much. He didn't expect that Jiang Tian would kill him. Yes, you're right. Using the power of an official is despicable to the extreme. Jiang Tian was rowing on the lake, getting closer and closer to the crowd. He said calmly, in the world of martial artists, the strong should be respected. Using the strong to bully the weak, a white knife in and a red knife out. What's the point of talking about worldly rules? Originally, your son knelt and kowtowed in a cemetery in the afternoon to repent for his mistakes. But your Yi family is amazing. You injured a police officer and rescued him. You even found a private hospital to live in. There, you ate and drank well, and while you were at it, you flirted with the young nurses. How wonderful. I thought about it. Why would I use the power of the government to bully people? It's better to kill them. So I rushed over and killed him. Didn't you want revenge? Aren't the descendants of the Green Gang very overbearing and arrogant? Now that I'm here, why don't you come over and bite me? Kong Taechu, I'll kill you. In the face of such humiliation, Leaf Dao Denier couldn't hold back any longer, and his arrogance soared. Aunt, I'm going to tear you to pieces today. His figure was like a dragon as he soared into the air and charged towards Jiang Tian. Oh, you can fly. That's amazing. You've reached the immortal state. But in my eyes, you're just a bird. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and swatted at him as if he was swatting a fly. Suddenly, heaven and earth trembled uneasily. The wind howled and lightning flashed. A gigantic golden palm spanning 200 meters in length came crashing down from the sky like the five-finger mountain of Buddha crushing the Monkey King. Oh my God! What is that? Fuck. He didn't lose his cultivation. He's fishing. That's evil. What a liar. What the hell? Everyone was shocked to the point they were dumbstruck. They didn't dare believe it, and they screamed miserably as they scattered in all directions while crying for their parents. Boom. There was a loud noise. Yi Wudao was directly hit by the palm and fell to the ground like a dead dog. His bones and tendons were broken, and his body was bleeding profusely. Grandmaster Jiang, let's talk nicely. Listen to me. Yi Wudao's face was full of horror. He reached out to Jiang Tian and wanted to beg. But Jiang Tian wouldn't show mercy. The giant golden palm fell and directly covered him and the other members of the Yi family. Boom. The entire mountain was razed to the ground, and a 200-meter-long and a few meters deep pit suddenly appeared on the ground. All the people from the Yi family of Jiangxia, who came this time, were all killed by Jiang Tian's gentle palm strike. Chapter 864. The scene was shocking and horrifying. The giant palm that had appeared in the Morgan Manor in the United States had reappeared. Everyone was dumbstruck when they saw that amidst the huge palm print, severed limbs were piled up, and corpses were twisted like fried dough twists as blood and flesh flowed everywhere. It looked like a pit of 10,000 people. It was a ghastly sight that made people's scalps tingle, and their hearts feel like they were about to explode. There were many transcendent grandmasters among them. Kai Jijin was the only female disciple who had escaped. However, she was so scared that she trembled on the ground like a dead dog. Her face was as pale as a sheet of paper, and she didn't even have time to care about her naked body under her skirt. Master Kong, please spare my life. I was forced to join the sect by Yi Wudao. That old bastard even forced me to join the sect. I have always wanted to kill him for revenge. This underground queen of the Jiangxi region was far more powerful than Su Ruoqing, and had the reputation of being the Black Widow. But now he was so scared that tears and mucus flowed down his face, and he knelt down in front of Jiang Tian, crazily kowtowing and begging for mercy. Oh my God, there is a fish that escaped the net. I don't even know you. If you didn't beg for mercy, I wouldn't have found you. Jiang Tian screamed exaggeratedly and said with a smirk, but since I have found you, I have to kill you. Ha! You can do that? Kai Jijin's face darkened, and she wanted to slap herself a few times. Smack. The next moment, Jiang Tian flicked his finger. A golden ray of light pierced through the air. This ray of light was several times larger than the bullet of a Barrett sniper rifle, and was comparable to a cannonball. It shattered Kai Jijin's head and upper body. Sparkling and translucent flesh rained down, leaving only two snow-white beautiful legs there. Jiang Tian appeared. He only used one hand and one finger. He destroyed the descendant of the Qin gang, and the Yi family that had ruled the Jiangxi region for over 100 years. Everyone was stunned. Everyone realized that Kong Teichu's power hadn't decreased at all. He was luring the snake out of its hole. A martial artist, the most powerful overlord in the world, a master on the divine roll of the Holy See, and the sect master of a sect. Why did he study the art of war? You've even studied the arts of emperors. You're already very strong, yet you're still luring the snake out of its hole and loosening the reins in order to capture it better. Is there any meaning to this? At this moment, everyone who had been ruthlessly tricked wanted nothing more than to tear Jiang Tian's body into 1,000 pieces, and then fiercely piss on his corpse. Too evil. Too black-bellied. Shameless. Don't run. I'll kill whoever runs. Jiang Tian came to the shore and looked at the crowd, whose faces were pale with fright. Didn't everyone want to kill me? Come on. Everyone trembled in fear, their faces ashen. Be it Daoist Xuanji or Zhou Zitao, everyone turned pale, and did not dare to utter a word. If Jiang Tian lost all his cultivation, no one would be afraid of him. But his cultivation was still so strong, who would dare to provoke him? Suddenly, Zhou Zitao's face lit up. He bowed to Yi Tianren and said loudly, Senior Yi Tianren, you're our last trump card. Please suppress Kong Teichu and get rid of this scourge for Huaxia's cultivation world. As soon as he said this, all the experts who didn't get along with Jiang Tian knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Yi Tianren, as if they were worshipping a god. Senior Yi, please suppress Kong Teichu and get rid of this scourge for Huaxia's cultivation world. Even Daoist Xuanji knelt. Although he and Yi Tianren were of the same generation, there was no other way. His cultivation was far inferior to Yi Tianren's. Senior Yi Tianren, do it. Kong Teichu, don't be so arrogant. Let's see where you can run when Senior Yi makes his move. Kneel down and admit defeat. The shouts converged into a torrent of voices that soared into the sky. It was very shocking. At this moment, everyone's hearts were rekindled with hope. Yes, we can't, but we have Yi Tianren as our trump card. Yi Tianren is no longer a half-step celestial immortal. He's on par with you and can even kill you. Even if we can't beat Kong Teichu when you fight, can't we run? Yi Tianren suddenly chuckled, glanced at the heroes and said jokingly, does this old man mean that everyone present is a joke? When did I, Yi Tianren, agree to be your trump card? Is this old man very familiar with you? You think too highly of yourselves. Yi Tianren, didn't you want to compete with Kong Teichu? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. We're your friends. You should help us. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Then their faces turned bitter, and they almost burst into tears. They were dumbfounded and could not believe it. The old man and Kong Teichu are rivals, but they are not enemies. So the old man is not friends with you? Yi Tianren shook his head. How can you watch him kill people without doing anything? He has repeatedly stirred up a storm of blood in Wuxia and has no regard for the law. Aren't you angry? Everyone was so anxious that they almost jumped up and fanned the flames crazily. The old man knows that Kong Teichu has killed a lot of people, Yi Tianren said unhurriedly. But which one of them didn't deserve to be killed? Didn't Wang Chongyan deserve to be killed? He's been out of Wuxia for decades, but he's still ambitious and wants to overthrow Wuxia. Yi Tianren's voice suddenly rose by an octave, and he reprimanded in a loud voice. Didn't Xiaobin deserve to be killed? He's a hot-blooded man of Wuxia. He's good at martial arts, but he didn't fight for the people or the motherland. He worked for the warlords during the Republic of China. After liberation, he formed an illegal gang and bullied the weak. After he was defeated by me, he betrayed the country and joined the Russians. He attacked Wuxia, who gave birth to him. He has no shame. Didn't Chenonping, the sect leader of Wudong sect, deserve to be killed? As the leader of a large sect, he was greedy. He imprisoned many rich people in the secular world, interfered in the secular order, plundered the secular industry, and competed with the people. In order to enter the ruins of immortality and live forever, he even colluded with the Cherry Blossom Society to find the map of the ruins of immortality. Didn't Yi Wudao deserve to be killed? Back then, I ordered the Yi family of the Qin gang to seal the mountain for 100 years. Before the time was up, he jumped out and supported Kai Zhijing to be a tyrant in Jiangxia. His hands were stained with blood. Later, he became Lu Lishuan's lackey and tried to control the private economy of Wuxia. That bastard son of his, Yi Ji, sold drugs, bullied men and women, and did all kinds of bad things. Damn it, I've heard about it. If I wasn't old, I would have killed him with a knife. These words caused everyone to be dumbstruck, and they were speechless. Their expressions were anxious, fearful, and depressed to the extreme. In the dead silence, Yi Tianren looked at Jiang Tian and said loudly, Master Kong, your temper is too good. Why do you have to borrow the power of the government? If an old man was here, you would have killed him with a slap and let him live for a few more hours. Jiang Tianzong laughed and said, That's right. With this, Celestial Yi, you and I should make a toast. The only people in the world who know me are my wife, who can't cook, and half of Situshao, and you, Yi Tianren. Yi Tianren's body was as tall as a mountain. He glared at the crowd and reprimanded sternly. Everyone, remember one thing. Martial arts can be without borders, but martial artists have their own countries. The people of the hidden sects are arrogant and look down on ordinary people as ants. In fact, they are nothing. The people of the semi-hidden sects hide from the world and let the people suffer. In fact, they are nothing. I, Yi Tianren, don't dare to be arrogant in my life. I'm peerless in the world. But I dare say that every person I kill is for the motherland and the people. Every battle I fight is for the people and the motherland. Every drop of my blood is shed for the weak and for justice. He glanced at Jiang Tian again and said happily, You're right. My martial arts philosophy is different from Taichu's. We have different life experiences and we are a century apart in age. But we have one thing in common. Let's hold on to one thing. Martial artists are also human. All cultivators are human. It's just that they are a little stronger. Since we are human, we should understand that we are not animals. We can't ignore the rules. We can't do whatever we want just because we are strong. Master Kong, is this old man right? Good. Jiang Tian flung his sleeves and said with a smile. Although I, Yi Tianren, am old, I am not muddle-headed. Yi Tianren laughed loudly. I definitely won't forget my original intentions, just because of a few words of flattery from you rascals. I won't forget who my friends are and who my enemies are. I will not treat Kong Teichu as an enemy, because of the title of the #1 martial artist in Wuxia. The old man guessed that fellow Jiang showed weakness to the enemy this time to lure the snake out of its hole, to fish for the fish and kill it. Yi Tianren said with a smile. So I didn't stop Zhantian from expressing his attitude to the martial arts families of Yanjing. After that, the old man stopped him whenever he wanted to say something. I don't know if the old man guessed right. Confidant. Jiang Tian said with a smile again. Fuck your mother. Yi Tianren, you old dog. You two are working together to screw us over. You're so bad. Old but not dead is a thief. Yi Tianren, you are the #1 thief in Tian. A big liar and a little liar work together to trick us. How despicable. The crowd's faces were as pale as paper. They knelt on the ground and trembled. They wailed and complained in their hearts, wishing that lightning would strike these two thieves alive. Chapter 865. My friend the Taichu Cultivator once fought with France for the sake of the 13 civilians who were killed by Sidoni. Yi Tianren took out 2 small celadone cups from his pocket, picked up a flagon next to him, and poured the clear wine into the cups. With this courage, with this righteous act of helping the weak and helping those in distress, this old man will toast you, Grandmaster Jiang. Then he flicked his finger and a cup of wine flew out steadily, crossing a few hundred meters and landing in Jiang Tian's hand. My friend from the heavenly realm also drinks erguotu. It's bottled in Nulinshan green. I like the taste. Cheers. Jiang Tian finished the cup. Heavenly Yi gulped down his drink as well. Then he lit up his cup and laughed heartily. This old man has been on the battlefield for 30 years and a century of cultivation. I think I'm quite capable. But there's one thing I'm definitely not as good as Master Kong, and that's making money. I only have 30,000 yuan in my bank account right now. I heard that Master Kong controls a country and a sect and is the richest man in the world. How enviable. Yi Tianren's heart is firm and he has no desires. No wonder he was the top cultivator 100 years ago. Hearing this, Situ Xiao in the crowd trembled, and he was in awe of Yi Tianren. Hua Qingtian, Wei Feilong and the others were also in awe. They only felt that Yi Tianren's heavy sword had no sharp edge, showing his magnanimity, ambition and pride as the top cultivator in Wuxia 100 years ago. He made people feel like they were looking up at a high mountain, and their hearts were filled with respect. Jiang Tian, don't lack money. If you don't die in this battle, I'll give you a winery. I'll give you a bottle of all the best wine in Wuxia. Jiang Tian smiled. My fellow cultivator, Taichu, once defeated the Japanese Sakura Society, the Universe Shield, and many other powerful organizations in the world. He showed the prestige of our country, and did what the old man wanted to do but couldn't. Because of this, the old man shall propose a second toast to Master Kong. Yi Tianren nodded slightly. After drinking a cup of wine, he spoke in a clear voice and then shook the wine pot. A stream of sweet wine shot into Jiang Tian's wine cup like a water arrow. Good. It would be impolite to refuse, I'll drink it. Jiang Tian's mouth was dead. The third cup. As a tribute to you for pushing my good-for-nothing son up several realms. Let my Yi clan's martial arts continue and have a successor. Yi Tianren bowed deeply with a grateful expression, and then poured Jiang Tian another cup of wine. Warsky and I are like a teacher and a friend. The Yi clan was a family of martyrs, and the Yi clan was full of guts. It's only right. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and sipped the wine in his cup. The fourth cup is a presumptuous request. A touch of sadness appeared on Yi Tianren's face, and he said with a smile. This time, the old man wants to use the battle with Master Kong to reach the peak of Sky Immortal, but the old man knows that this battle is dangerous, and there's a slim chance of survival. If the old man dies, I hope my granddaughter Yi Karen can be Master Kang's disciple. Karen. Jiang Tian's words were concise. After drinking this cup of wine, the battle between Master Kong and I will be decided. I hope Master Kong won't hold back. After Yi Tianren finished drinking, he poured another cup of wine for Jiang Tian, and then he bowed deeply with a respectful expression. The old man was lucky enough to become a half-step Sky Immortal, and have a lifespan of more than 100 years. Although old, he didn't die. He crossed 2 centuries and met Master Kong, a genius who has been stunning for thousands of years. How fortunate! How fortunate! Jiang Tian drained the cup in one gulp, threw it away, and said in a deep voice, Yi Tianren, I won't hold back. The greatest respect for an opponent is to attack with all my strength and no mercy. Yi Zhantian was sobbing in the crowd. He knew that this earth-shattering battle across 2 worlds was about to begin. And in tonight's battle, one of them was bound to fall. Swoosh! Yi Tianren waved his hand, and a long sword fell into his hand. He pointed the tip of the sword at Jiang Tian and said coldly. The old man combined the ancient Daoqing heritage and the guidance of several seniors in Hongmeng. He pondered in Brahmin and the Buddhist sect in India for 10 years, and then fought in Wuxia for 30 years. This sword could not be called a sword. It was just a piece of iron that was bent and crooked. It didn't even have a blade. The hilt was wrapped with a coarse hemp rope and some tattered cloth. Yi Tianren held the broken iron sword tightly and said with a smile. The old man saw that the world was beautiful but speechless. He saw that the world was in misery but it was endless. He saw that the world was despicable but great, weak but powerful. He saw that he was as insignificant as an ant, but as beautiful as a god. Finally, he came to a realization and created the deity-slaying sword. Can the deity slay sword? Yi Tianren's lips parted slightly. His eyes were suddenly filled with endless sorrow, anger, unwillingness, and resentment. Then came endless compassion, kindness, and joy. His weathered eyes seemed to travel through hundreds of years. It was as if he saw the war and the smoke of war everywhere. It was as if he saw the height of the temple, the flies and dogs, and the bloody strife. It was as if he saw a delicate flower blooming, as if he saw a blood-stained butcher's knife raised high, as if he saw the purest smile of a baby, as if he saw the helpless death of an old man. At this moment he saw the world himself and everything. The heavenly man said yes. Following this shout, Yi Zichen shouted. Yi Tianren's countless thoughts turned into endless killing intent. He rose into the air and stabbed his sword toward Jiang Tian. The rise and fall of a country, love and hatred, separation and death, war, peace, slaughter, celebration, sadness, anger, despair, joy, countless scenes, and the thoughts of countless people all turned into a sword. Kill. Kill, 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 kill. Yi Tianren roared like a tide. No one could describe the killing intent of this sword. This sword seemed to contain a great annoyance that could overflow the heavens. This sword was extremely disrespectful to the world, to the gods, to the Buddha, to the devils, and to the gods and Buddhas. It was as if the person who stabbed this sword had no god, no devil, no Buddha, no self in his heart. He was lawless and fearless. There was only the world in his heart, and there was only endless unwillingness and a monstrous sense of injustice. He used endless sword energy, endless anger, endless hatred, endless love, and endless compassion to turn into a sword that could break the heavens and extinguish the stone in his heart. If there was a God, if the God was compassionate and powerful, then why did he need the faith and worship of mankind to save mankind from disaster? If the God was omnipotent, then why did the God create a stone that he could not lift? If there was no God, then there was no need to believe in him. If there was a God but it was not good, then it should be cut down. Good. Good, Yi Zhantian. You have actually comprehended such a profound sword will. Jiang Tian clapped his hands and cheered, his face full of surprise. Since his rebirth, this was the first time he had a look of admiration on his face. Yi Tianren also cultivated true qi. When his true qi turned into sword energy, it was far from comparable to his seventh metal true origin. However, his sword will was the highest among the martial arts on earth. It could even reach the level of an immortal martial art. Only when there is no God in the heart can one become a god. If there is no devil in the heart, then I am a devil. If there is a Buddha in the heart, then I can never become a Buddha. In his previous life, Jiang Tian had only suddenly comprehended such a concept when he reached the divine transformation stage. It was easy to say but hard to do. Who would dare to make a move against a god? Obey as a mortal, defy as heaven. If one wanted to become an immortal, then one had to defy heaven. If one surrendered, then one would only be a mortal. If one wanted to become a god, then one had to have the courage to fight against the gods. If one was afraid, then one would never become a god. However, Yi Tianren was only a little over 100 years old, yet he had already comprehended this point, and could even use it. It could be said that he was amazing. Yi Tianren regarded Jiang Tian as a god. It was because he was the biggest and smartest ant in the wasteland that he could understand Jiang Tian's strength the most thoroughly and deeply. He was as powerful as a god. He knew that his origin was extraordinary. that he was the reincarnation of an immortal. However, he still dared to conquer. Unfortunately, I can overcome the void with my strength and break through the mind with my strength. Jiang Tian sighed softly and punched out. Jiang Tian did not hold back at all when he punched out. Clang! The incomparably thick and vast seventh metal true essence poured out like a golden river, gushing out hundreds of meters long. Boom! The boundless sword intent and boundless killing intent were all smashed to pieces by Jiang Tian's punch. Moreover, they exploded. Bang! 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 Continuous explosions sounded. The villas below the two were like building blocks that had been knocked down by a naughty child, collapsing and collapsing. Good. Eat my fist, Tempest of the Nine Dragons. Amidst the praises, Yi Tianren's figure flew hundreds of meters away. Then he punched out. Boom. This punch was very far away from Jiang Tian, but his true chi had already turned into an azure dragon. It was ferocious and overbearing. Then the second, the third, the fourth, Yi Tianren took 9 steps in the sky and punched out 9 times. A total of 9 giant dragons that were more than 1,000 meters long appeared in the air one after another, pouncing toward Jiang Tian. Yi Tianren is really the #1 genius in history. Situ Xiao exclaimed. The Qingxua sword he used was a spirit treasure that contained the soul of an azure dragon. It was very powerful and had helped him kill immortal state overlords several times. But then he was shocked to find out. Every azure dragon that Yi Tianren threw out was more powerful than his azure dragon soul, whether it was spirituality or power. More importantly, all of this was created and comprehended by Yi Tianren himself. He was not like him, who was copying others' ideas. This is a half-step sky immortal. It's terrifying. Xuanji, Zhou Zitao and the others were dumbfounded. Yi Tianren's punch was an azure dragon, and these azure dragons had spirituality and were extremely powerful. They could kill a transcendent grandmaster or a mortal state overlord with one claw. This kind of strength was too terrifying. It simply had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. Yi Tianren was indeed the most powerful person in Wuxia 100 years ago. He was indeed worthy of being an overlord who had suppressed Wuxia for a century. Zhang Qianlei, Bai Tianlei and the other overlords in the mortal world were not even comparable to Yi Tianren. It could even be said that Yi Tianren's strength was far beyond that of Hao Taichong, Li Jiuyo, Zhou Zixuan and the other sect masters of the semi-hidden sections. Perhaps only the few living fossils of Kunlun who had hidden themselves away from the world were qualified to be on par with him and compete with him. Senior heavenly being is too powerful. No wonder he is the #1 Taoist sect in the world. In the crowd, Qiu Xuanji, the sect master of the Chuanjin sect, looked as if he had seen a god. He was so excited that he almost knelt down and worshipped Yi Tianren. Old man, I'm dizzy. Kai Shaochen, the oldest grandmaster in history, almost fainted after a few glances. The scene was too impactful, and it contained an extremely powerful soul energy. Even a transcendent grandmaster would not be able to withstand it. Chapter 866. I've slain 10,000 dragons. What's the big deal? Jiang Tian's eyes were filled with disdain as he slapped the sky-devouring demonic gourd on his waist. It was his first time using a weapon. Oh my god, that's too scary. Master might have really eaten dragon meat before. Be more obedient in the future. At the foot of the mountain, the azure dragon, who had transformed into a big black dog, was peeing beside an old tree root. When he heard that, he trembled in fear. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 9 flying swords turned into 9 dazzling streams of light, and pierced through the air like lightning. In the blink of an eye, the 9 azure dragons were all severed as easily as a hot knife cutting through butter. Boom, boom, boom. The explosion this time was 10 times louder than before. The entire Linzhou was alarmed. Countless people got up and came to the window to watch. The earth-shattering explosion was like a volley of missiles, directly flattening the mountain range below Jiang Tian's feet, that was a few hundred meters high. Fortunately, the martial artists had already left the mountain and retreated hundreds of meters away. Otherwise, they would have been crushed into minced meat. Kong Teichu, you truly have the ability to suppress the entire world. The killing intent on Yi Tianren's face became even more frenzied. He roared loudly, "Pig-killing swordsmanship, sunshine of the East Sea thousand ripples." He held the sword with both hands, stepped into the air, and slashed wildly at Jiang Tian like a madman. This was an extremely crazy move. If he saw deities as pigs and dogs, he would chop them up. If he saw deities and Buddhas as villains, he would kill them. Only when he was crazy and devoid of Buddhas and deities could he unleash the highest combat power. Slash. 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 This was not one slash but 10 million slashes. It was like the rising sun, illuminating the rolling waves of the East Sea. It had the power to cut through and shatter everything. Even if it was not that sharp, even if the enemy was a deity, there was no one that could not be killed. Yi Tianren, you're too slow. Jiang Tian recalled the flying swords and let them float behind him. He chose to attack. He was determined to let him know what it meant to be fast. Pa. Jiang Tian stretched out his right hand and caught his sword with 2 fingers. Then his right hand quickly reached out again and again. In an instant, he had reached out millions of times and accurately caught his millions of swords. At this moment, Jiang Tian was like a 1,000-armed Buddha, blocking Yi Tianren's frenzied attacks with a single hand. Not fast enough? Then it would be even faster. Even faster. So fast that you can't catch my broken sword. Breaking the city into a storm. Yi Tianren was already like a madman, crazily chopping down with his broken iron sword. There was only one thought in his mind. Quick, 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 quick. Even faster. He quickly beheaded Jiang Tian. In this world, there is no pig that I can't kill. Yi Tianren's beard and hair fluttered in the wind as his violent aura bombarded the world. The true qi that naturally overflowed from his body was actually in the state of an arrow shooting out. He was like a Vulcan in human form. Bang, 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 bang. Numerous cyclones shot out from his pores, each of which was powerful enough to kill a transcendent realm expert. Terrifying. Is this the strength of a half-step celestial immortal? They're too powerful. At their feet, Zhou Zitao, Daoist Xuanji, and the others watched with trepidation. They trembled all over and felt dizzy. The strength displayed by the two was completely beyond their imagination. Those moves were even beyond their comprehension. Celestial immortals. 2 celestial immortals. Some people even prostrated themselves and kowtowed to the two in the fierce battle. Dizzy. Dizzy. Wah. 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 The oldest grandmaster in history, Kai Shaochen, had just begun to watch. Comprehending the two's moves was an improvement for him. Kai Shaochen was a man with aspirations and believed that hard work could make up for his lack of talent. But in the end, his mind was greatly shaken by the concept of the two's moves. He suffered a backlash from his true qi and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. At this point, he no longer had the confidence to say, "Look, this is the consequence of being eager for quick success and an unstable foundation." Now he had to admit that there were geniuses in this world, people blessed by the heavens. Not only did Jiang Tian break through very quickly and become the world's #1 expert at a young age, but the key was that his foundation was very stable. Haha, I can see that you're using a saber technique, not a sword technique. Jiang Tian laughed loudly as he caught the sword in a dazzling manner like a Buddha with 10,000 hands. Yes, this is the butcher's pig slaughtering saber technique, but so what? Who says a sword can't be a saber? Who says a sword can't be entangled? Who says a sword can't be light, fog, or rain? Who says a sword can't kill gods? Who says a sword can't kill pigs? Even gods can be slain, let alone a pig like you. Yi Tianren was crazy. His thoughts were crazy, his moves were crazy, and he fought without any regard for his life. He was even a little incoherent. Yi Tianren, you can be devoid of gods, demons, and Buddhas, but at least for now, you can't be devoid of the laws of heaven and earth. Jiang Tian sighed softly. There must be a flaw in forcefully converting a saber technique into a sword technique. That was because a saber technique was a saber technique, and a sword was a sword. He quickly found the flaw in forcefully converting a saber technique into a sword technique and flicked his finger. Poof. This finger was simply like an antelope hanging its horn, untraceable. From a wonderful angle, It pierced through the layers of sword curtains and hit Yi Tianren on the chest. Blood splattered. Yi Tianren flew hundreds of meters away. His chest was stained with blood, and there was a big hole in it. "Father!" Yi Tianren exclaimed. Then he kowtowed to Jiang Tian and said with tears in his eyes, "Master Kong, please have mercy." Jiang Tian did not look at him. Yi Tianren did not look at him either. The two of them only had eyes for each other. Even lovers would not look at each other with such deep affection. An enlightened monk once told me that God is Tao, and Tao follows nature. Tathagata. Yi Tianren steadied himself and sneered. Then with a thunderous roar he shouted, "You're too weak." On the other hand, all laws are meant to be broken. I don't believe in God. If I want to slay God, then I will break the laws. You're too eager for quick success. Your vision is too high, and your strength is too weak. Without a foundation, it's illusory. Jiang Tian stood with his hands behind his back. His flying swords floated around him like a dragon. He sighed. "If you continue fighting like this and forcefully use it, you'll go mad." Yi Tianren's ideas were close to some of the ideas of the divine transformation realm. It should be based on 100 years of observation and experience, and then through meditation of the Buddhist sect. However, he had seen too little. It was like an ape like Homo sapiens in a primitive society. Even if they saw the power of an explosion and knew that it could be used, they could not understand modern physics and could not create nuclear weapons. The current Yi Tianren was using an extremely weak true qi to support the supreme martial arts. It was like trying to use a burning candle to illuminate the whole world. The martial arts he used showed a violent concept, an unyielding fighting spirit, and monstrous killing moves. His cultivation and true qi could not support it. He was almost a lamp that had run out of oil. At this moment, a picture appeared in Jiang Tian's mind. On Earth in the desolate era, a piece of dry wood was burned violently and exploded with a bang. It scared a primitive Homo sapiens. The Homo sapiens thought that it might only be possible to expand the wood and the flame by 10 times, but it could never make a bullet. Jiang Tian suddenly felt a great sense of pity. For thousands of years, the thousands of ants and insects in the wasteland diligently sought to be one with the light and dust, to ascend to the sky. When the wind blew and rain hit, they fell to the dust. When the birds drank and pecked, they became food to fill their stomachs. However, in the endless years, countless ants advanced dauntlessly, one after another, wanting to see a wider world. It was not just the humans in the wasteland on Earth. In the long river of history, in the billions of stars in the depths of the universe, those who had awakened were all like this. Including Jiang Tian himself. Before he ascended to the top of the heavenly realm, even if he had become a deity, he was still an ant in those god-level civilizations. Although he was a weak ant, he had a heart that looked up to the sky and wanted to spread his wings and soar. A heart of dissatisfaction was always surging. A heart of resistance was always burning. And the heart of wanting to fly would never die. Strong. Beautiful. At this moment, Jiang Tian was filled with emotions. Yi Tianren, you're not bad. You're not bad. Just as you said, you're as small as an ant, but as magnificent as a god. Stop killing. At this moment, an old man, supported by the 4 immortal generals of the Huaxiaolong formation, tottered over. Azure Dragon. The moment he saw the old man, Yi Zhantian's pupils shrank and he greeted him with a cry of surprise. This was the first Azure Dragon, a veteran immortal state warrior. He had retired from the rank of Major General and retired many years ago. Now he had rushed over to stop this battle. Azure Dragon's hair and beard were all white, his back was hunched, and his face was covered with age spots. He was so old that he was beyond recognition. Hey, are you going to use that powerful sword strike? But you'll die. What's there to be afraid of? Yi Tianren laughed loudly. I don't want to be an ant. I want to fly to the sky. I want to see just how terrifying and magnificent that unknown world is. I want to see how powerful they are. He looked at Azure Dragon with a smile and said, You know, if I use that move, I can reach the level of a celestial immortal for a short time. I want to see what the limit of martial arts is. Yes, I know you want to pursue the limit of martial arts. Azure Dragon's tears rolled down his cheeks. He poked the ground with his cane and asked loudly, "But is this more important than your life?" "Yes," Yi Tianren said lightly. "But if you still want to fight, I'll die in front of you." Azure Dragon took out a pistol and pointed it at his forehead. "Azure Dragon!" Everyone in the long formation exclaimed. "Get out of my way." Azure Dragon summoned his true chi and pushed everyone back. Then he looked at Yi Tianren in the sky and shouted, "Yes, if you dare to use that move again, I'll die in front of you." "Yes, back then, when we were fighting on the battlefield, I once blocked a blade for you and saved your life several times. You owe me several lives. Are you going to owe me one more? Azure Dragon, I'll see you in heaven. If there's a day." Yi Tianren smiled at Azure Dragon and slowly approached Jiang Tian. Bang! Plop! Azure Dragon's weak gunshot, his brain splashing on the grass and his old body falling to the ground, but Yi Tianren did not turn around. He rushed toward Jiang Tian like a madman. Chapter 867. Yi Tianren, you have fallen into the devil's path. Stop it. On a building in the distance, Chao Shixiang shouted through a loudspeaker. His voice was extremely anxious. "Father, don't kill anymore. You can't use that sword." Yi Zhantian also knelt down and begged with tears in his eyes. "Senior Yi, please stop." The 4 spiritual generals and the group of 8 of the Huaxia Long formation all knelt on the ground and begged with tears in their eyes. "Then become a devil. Kill the gods." Yi Tianren's eyes were filled with tears as he let out a long laugh and charged toward Jiang Tian with an indomitable will. The perfected man is lawless and selfless. Yi Tianren's entire body was drenched in blood. He let out a thunderous roar and suddenly fell into an extremely wondrous state. The predecessors once said, "The perfected man is a god." The great lake burns but cannot be hot. The river flows but cannot be cold. The thunder breaks the mountain and the wind shakes the sea, but cannot be startled. The perfected man rides the clouds, the sun and the moon, and roams the 4 seas. His life and death do not change, and the situation is extremely dangerous. Whoosh! His genuine chi gushed out, and he suddenly disappeared. All his blood essence, genuine chi, energy, and spirit suddenly turned into an extremely sharp sword aura that pierced through heaven and earth. The broken blood-stained iron sword fell to the ground like a bird that had lost its soul, making a gloomy and sorrowful sound. Yes, Yi Tianren disappeared into thin air. In other words, he turned into a sword and shot toward Jiang Tian, as if he could pierce through the sun and the moon. This is using the body as a sword and becoming one with the sword. Situ Shao exclaimed in disbelief. Legend has it that in the ancient Taoist classics, there was a record of transforming into a sword and becoming one with the sword, but it had been extinct for thousands of years. Who would have thought that Yi Tianren could comprehend it? Everyone was stunned. They were so shocked that they were dumbstruck. Transforming into a sword, flesh and blood into sword chi and sword aura, life's cultivation into sword momentum, mind into sword will and sword spirit. They didn't even dare to think about such a wonderful sword art before. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have dared to believe that the scene before them was real. I want to ascend to the heavens. I want to slay the gods. There is no self or self in this world. There is only one sword. Kill. Kill, 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 kill. Kill. The long sword that Yi Tianren had transformed into was several hundred meters long. It flickered with silver light and emitted a cold aura, as if it was made of metal. The huge sword seemed to have a life of its own. First, it let out a sonorous sound, followed by a mournful wail of praise. Then it began to sing wildly and finally, it turned into an endless roar of indignation and anger. That cry of kill, like the sound of metal colliding, like the sound of a star exploding, the treasured sword rushed towards Jiang Tian with an indomitable momentum. Yi Tianren, your sword can already slay immortals. Jiang Tian's face showed a trace of coldness, and then he punched out. But you're courting death. Bang! The sword exploded like a nuclear explosion under Jiang Tian's powerful punch. The area where Jiang Tian was at was plunged into a sea of fire with a radius of several thousand meters. Like a nuclear bomb explosion, smoke and dust billowed, and airwaves rolled and surged. It formed a violent shock wave that pushed in all directions. It was a blur and nothing could be seen clearly. Will Kong Taechu be able to withstand it? I'm afraid they'll both perish together. This is Yi Tianren's all-out attack with all his cultivation. The sword of a half-step heaven immortal. Who can withstand it? Everyone muttered to themselves. They raised their heads and looked at the sky with mixed feelings. That's right, that's right. Kong Taechu is definitely going to die this time. Yi Tianren has used all his cultivation to transform into a longsword. How can he withstand the strength of a half-step heaven immortal? Wuxia wiped the sweat off his face and heaved a sigh of relief. He was almost scared to death just now. Kong Taechu did not lose his cultivation. Wouldn't it be as easy as killing a chicken for him to kill Jiang Tian? Kong Taechu, you're finally dead. Unfortunately, I'm not the one who killed you with my own hands. Zhou Zitao laughed maniacally. This is his retribution. He killed so many people that Wuxia's heads rolled and blood flowed like a river. Now his retribution has finally come. He's finally dead. A martial arts expert who had disrespected Jiang Tian earlier shouted happily. Yi Tianren used his own death to get rid of this scourge that threatened Wuxia. Taoist Master Xuanji also laughed. We're going to give Yi Tianren a grand funeral. It's going to be a grand one. But I think what Senior Yi said makes sense. Kong Taechu is not a bad person. A disciple said unwillingly. What do you know? Taoist Master Xuanji raised his hand and slapped him. He shouted angrily. Yi Tianren was just coaxing Kong Taechu. If he couldn't kill him, he could at least leave some impression so that he wouldn't go berserk and turn into a mad dog again. Is Master really going to die this time? The senior disciples of Tianqing School looked nervous and uneasy. Yi Tianren's last sword move had surpassed the limits of martial arts and was close to the laws of heaven. Even if they had full confidence in Jiang Tian before, they were a little uncertain now. He won't die. Master won't die. Wuxing Tian looked at the sky with tears in his eyes. Jiang Tian. Huang Linger choked. Why didn't you come this time? Why didn't you come to help? Tang Linglong said angrily. But at this moment, an earth-shattering sound, like the roar of a fighter jet, exploded. From the depths of the flames and black smoke in the sky, a figure shot out like a rocket, leaving a trail of white turbulence in its wake. Smack! The figure landed on the ground. He was dressed in plain clothes, his black hair draped over his shoulders, and his face was as handsome as a god's. Who else could it be but Jiang Tian? What? Kong Taechu didn't die? Everyone jumped in shock, their faces full of disbelief. Kong Taechu won. Could it be that Celestial Yi has already fallen? Taoist Master Xuanji couldn't believe it. It was as if he had seen a ghost in broad daylight. That earth-shattering sword move clearly had the strength of a celestial immortal. Could Kong Taechu have withstood it? Zhou Zitao screamed like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Jiang Tian's clothes weren't damaged at all. This meant that when he blocked and destroyed Yi Tianren's sword move, he still had the wind to protect his body and had enough energy to spare. It was a completely one-sided situation. Father! Yi Zhantian had already collapsed to the ground in tears. Father said that the ancient Taoist records were incomplete. He could only transform into a sword, but he couldn't return to his body as a sword. He couldn't become a celestial immortal. He couldn't comprehend it. He had lost all hope. He was committing suicide. Oh my God, we're done for. Yi Tianren is dead. Kong Taechu is invincible. Who is going to protect us? Someone was trembling with fear, his face ashen as he mumbled to himself. He killed Yi Tianren. He has committed a heinous crime. Let's lobby and use the military's power to kill Kong Taechu. Wu Yingxiong's eyes flashed as he calculated. In the distance, on the rooftop of a skyscraper, the northern wind swept through the snow like feathers of goose feathers. A group of men in black trench coats stood there, gazing at the sea of flames with complicated expressions on their faces. Senior heavenly being is dead after all. We can't even persuade him. Why bother? Special Envoy Shen lamented regretfully. Why did it have to be like this? Chao Jinjia also sighed deeply and said with a worried face. Senior heavenly being is dead. Kong Taechu will live abroad. Wuxia has lost a trump card. Those rascals are going to be arrogant again. The holy see, the Brahmin, and so on. At the moment when the moth flew into the flame, the moth did not feel the burning pain. It only felt the light. Chao Shixiang lowered his head sadly and said with a trembling voice, "When we were young, I was only the political commissar of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade, and Yi Tianren was only a brigade commander. At that time, the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade didn't have a high status in the military. He often asked me, 'Shixiang, what do you think is the end of the martial arts? What is the ultimate mystery of the human body's limit?' Maybe he has already seen it tonight." He coughed violently with a face full of sorrow and regret. Chao Jianjia was worried that he would catch a cold. She quickly helped him put on a green military coat. Chao Shixiang gripped the black military coat with one hand and said with a bitter smile, "Today's battle for Yi Tianren, Jiang Tian was the altar of the martial arts limit. He sacrificed himself. Through death, he obtained the ultimate mystery of the martial arts that he had been longing for all his life. He should have been smiling when he died. Zhantian, your father died because of me. Do you hate me?" Jiang Tian slowly walked towards Yi Zhantian with his hands behind his back and asked in a low voice. "No." Yi Zhantian shook his head and wiped away his tears. He has always been looking forward to performing the one with the sword strike. He just lacked an opportunity to perform it. Before he fought with you, he already knew that he might die. Zhantian, how can you be so cowardly? You are absolutely irreconcilable with the murderer of your father. Wu Yingxiong was trying to fan the flames. He hoped that the Huaxia Long formation would clash with Jiang Tian, and then use the Long formation and the military to get rid of Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian could not be bothered with him. He pulled Yi Zhantian up and said, "Good. He only died for a minute. I can still save him." "What? How can a dead man come back to life?" Yi Zhantian could not believe his eyes. Jiang Tian ignored him and stomped his right foot. Boom. A loud bang. The spiritual qi within a few kilometers was sucked dry and condensed in Jiang Tian's hand. The earth shook. On Jiang Tian's body, a domineering aura soared into the sky. Time reversal blade. Jiang Tian's right hand made a grabbing motion, and a long blade as thin as autumn water appeared out of thin air. Then Jiang Tian swung the blade horizontally. The moment the blade was swung, the void within a 10-kilometer radius froze. Even the energy and qi ripples that were spreading in the air suddenly stopped. Chapter 868. The Peerless Great Divine Ability. The saber that reverses time and space, shaking the world, had appeared. Time reversal blade, time suspension, and eternal exile were all heaven-defying abilities of space and time. However, they were several times stronger than the latter two. It was created by the ancient divine emperor when Hongmeng was first created. This ability could reverse time and space. It was extremely heaven-defying. Of course, the consumption of qi, blood, spirit, and dermic powers was no small matter. Jiang Tian would never use it easily. When one's cultivation was insufficient, each use would cause severe damage to one's body and lifespan. It could even cause one's body to explode and die. Jiang Tian was only at foundation establishment level 1 now. Even if he had many tricks, it would suppress his cultivation for at least a few months, and he would not be able to recover. However, Jiang Tian cherished Yi Tianren too much. He was also moved by his fighting spirit and ambition. Jiang Tian was definitely not a saint. However, he believed that Yi Tianren was the kind of talent who could fight against 10,000 people. If he became his disciple, it would be comparable to 3 Tianqing school. Moreover, he would be able to guard Huaxia for a century and make a great contribution. He had to do it for the sake of friendship and righteousness. Yuli, this deal is worth it. Clang. Jiang Tian's long blade, which was as thin as a cicada's wing, slashed toward the sky. Time reversal blade. The saber light that was as mesmerizing as autumn water flashed past within a radius of a few kilometers. Bang. Wherever the blade light passed, the frozen space and time suddenly rolled back and contracted. It was as if someone had pressed the rewind button in a video. Everyone's body moved in the opposite direction uncontrollably. What's going on? This thought appeared in everyone's mind, but they could not make a sound. Rumble. In the sky, the clouds and flames formed by the explosion of the incarnation sword. The surging chi, blood, and energy all shrank and rolled back. It was as if the fireworks had condensed into a firework tube and turned into Yi Tianren's incarnation sword. It only rewound time and space for a minute and a half. Jiang Tian was so tired that he spat out a mouthful of blood. A few strands of silver appeared in his black hair. Slash again. Jiang Tian took a deep breath and slashed down with his saber again. Rumble. The 100-meter-long sword of incarnation shrank and changed shape again. After a while, it finally transformed into Yi Tianren's original appearance. Seeing Yi Tianren reappear in the sky, everyone was dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it, as if they had seen a ghost. It was not surprising that Jiang Tian could kill Yi Tianren. It was understandable. However, Jiang Tian actually reversed time with a single slash of his saber. How could he still be considered human? This was a true immortal. Pooh! Jiang Tian spat out another mouthful of blood. The space-time reversing saber in his hand shattered into pieces. Jiang Tian's hair had already turned white. Master Kong. With tears in his eyes, Yi Tianren flew in front of Jiang Tian and kowtowed, tears rolling down his cheeks. I'm just an ant and a speck of dust. How can I waste your precious cultivation to save my life? No. You're not an ant. You're a human, a living human who dares to kill a god. Jiang Tian revealed a gratified smile and helped him up. Just as you said. Even if you're as small as an ant, you're as magnificent as a god. I'm very happy that Wuxia can produce such a genius like you. Master. I'm willing to take Master Kong as my master and serve you for life. I'll never betray you. Yi Tianren kowtowed and shouted with tears in his eyes. Not only was Jiang Tian 10 times more powerful than him, but his magnanimity was as broad as the sea. He finally understood why Situ Xiao, who was his senior, was so loyal to Jiang Tian. Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. Oh my god. This was Yi Tianren, the overlord on the Holy Sea divine roll 100 years ago, and the most powerful person in Wuxia. But now he was kowtowing to Kong Teichu and acknowledging him as his master. At this moment, everyone looked at Jiang Tian with eyes full of reverence and shock, as if they were looking at a real god. Such an achievement was unimaginable. In Wuxia, Situ Xiao, the most powerful person in Wuxia 200 years ago, the founder of the Hong sect, and Yi Tianren, the most powerful person in Wuxia 100 years ago, the founder of the Long Formation, had all acknowledged him as their master. Among the 6 major sects in the world, 5 of them were Kong Teichu, the Hong sect and the Wuxia Long Formation. It could be said that all the talents in the world had fallen into Kong Teichu's trap. On the international level, the Covenant of Darkness had been defeated by him, the Winter Army and the Hall of Gods had submitted to him, and the United States Universal Shield and Blue Storm had been destroyed by Kong Teichu. He alone was able to suppress the superpowers of the world. What a glorious achievement, what a glorious battle record, what a peerless talent, and what a domineering aura. Such an achievement was extremely rare even in the Middle Ages, where the stars were shining brightly and cultivation was popular. Not to mention in the Age of Doom where technology was flourishing and the immortal realm was hidden. It was as rare as a phoenix's feather. Master, the divine power of cultivation arts, the greatness of his achievements, and the vastness of his vision. You are the most powerful person in history, Situ Xiao said with a trembling voice with a face full of fascination. He didn't dare to compare himself to Jiang Tian, but even so he yearned for it. Zhao Yuankuan, Wei Feilong, and Huaqing Tian all nodded in agreement. They only felt that Jiang Tian's figure at this time was as tall as a mountain, and they could only look up to him. Yes, from now on, I'm afraid that not many people on this planet can challenge Master's dignity. Tang Linglong, on the other hand, straightened her back. Her snow-white face was full of pride, and her eyes were full of arrogance. As long as Jiang Tian and Yi Tianren are fine. Huang Linger, on the other hand, smiled with relief. Among the crowd, the happiest was definitely Yi Zhantian, who was rubbing his hands excitedly. The battle between Jiang Tian and Yi Tianren had always been a big stone in his heart. Today, the battle between the 2 century-level powerhouses had ended in such a way. It was wonderful. Jiang Tian stretched out his hands and helped Yi Tianren up. He smiled and said, "Heavenly man, get up. From now on, you and Situ will be brothers of the same sect. I hope you two can put aside your differences and love each other." He swallowed a few pills, and his body and cultivation started to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. His white hair turned back to black. Then he said, "From now on, the Hong sect will continue to protect the safety of the overseas Chinese. The Huaxiaolong formation will continue to protect Wuxia. The two organizations will share information and support each other in action. Together, we will make new contributions to the peace of Wuxia." Master, in fact, the Hong sect has contributed a lot to the liberation of Wuxia. Yi Tianren's face was solemn. He cupped his fists and bowed deeply to Situ Shao. But at that time, the new society was still in its infancy, and the evil martial artists were running amok. The heavenly beings had no choice but to kill more than 100 overlords of the Hong sect. "Please forgive me, brother Situ." Situ Zhao's face changed a few times, and then he cupped his fist and said lightly, "Forget it. We are all martial artists, so let's not worry about the details. Don't be so fussy. We all worked for different masters. You don't have it easy either." But his expression turned solemn as he flung his sleeves and placed his hands behind his back. He said in a deep voice filled with arrogance, "In the future, you have to call me senior brother in Tianqing sect. Don't mess up the order." Okay, senior brother Situ, I am Yi Tianren. Nice to meet you." Yi Tianren bowed deeply to Situ Shao. "Oh my god. I didn't know senior brother Situ cared so much about this." Seeing Situ Zhao's solemn face, Hu Qingtian and the others couldn't help but chuckle. The way he flicks his sleeves and places his hands behind his back, he's clearly imitating Shizuan, okay? Tang Linglong held back her laughter and whispered into Huang Linger's ear, "Oh no, our master's posturing is like a virus. It's so contagious." The Yi family of Huaxiaolong formation and the Situ family of the Hong sect had been fighting each other for more than half a century. Today, with Jiang Tian's mediation, they finally made peace. Good. Yi Tianren is not dead, and he is now Master Kang's disciple. The martial arts world of Huaxia is finally at peace. In the distance, Chao Shixiang's face was filled with joy as he clapped and laughed. Special Envoy Shen also nodded and praised. To be able to make the Yi family and the international Hong sect, who were sworn enemies, become friends and work together, I'm afraid only Master Jiang has such prestige in the world. Amazing. Suddenly, Jiang Tian's cold gaze swept over Zhou Zitao, Wu Yingxiong, and Taoist Master Xuanji. The people of Diansong were frightened, especially Zhou Zitao, whose face was as white as paper. Kong Teichu could even suppress Yi Tianren now. Who in the world could stop him? "Zhou Zitao, the feud between me and your Diansong sect started when we fought for the DNYU flower on Mount Everest." Jiang Tian said coldly. "But the DNYU flower is an ownerless thing. You want it, and so do I. The disciples of Diansong wanted to kill me. Can't I fight back? Although I, Kong Teichu, have killed many people in my life, I have never killed innocent people. To be fair, after the incident, your Diansong sect repeatedly provoked me. Tell me, don't you deserve to die? We know we are wrong. Master Kong, please be merciful and spare our lives." Zhou Zitao was so scared that he immediately knelt down and said, "The disciples of Diansong sect are almost all dead. There are only a few hundred people left. Leave some descendants for the inheritance of Diansong sect. Master Kong, please spare our lives." The other disciples also knelt down, and were so scared that they wet their pants as if they had seen a demon. The rest of the martial arts experts were also worried. Zhou Zitao's hair was already white. He was an immortal state expert, but at this time, in front of Jiang Tian, he was like a child who had made a mistake. Diansong's Taoist field is okay, but the martial arts inheritance is too bad. There is no need for you to stay. Jiang Tian waved his hand casually. Clang! A 300-meter-long purple lightning saber swept out. Under the violent electric light, Zhou Zitao did not even have time to scream before he exploded like a firework and turned into ashes. A blazing, dazzling, and beautiful sea of purple lightning enveloped the area. The area where the Diansong sect was located became empty in an instant. Everyone turned into ashes and disappeared completely. The rocks were melted and black smoke billowed out of the ground, leaving a terrible knife scar about a few hundred meters long. Master Kong, Wu Yingxiong knows he is wrong. The Wu family knows it is wrong. Do you still remember that when you rescued Huang Linger, the Wu family also helped? Seeing this, Wu Yingxiong was so scared that his face was as white as paper. He prostrated himself on the ground like a dead dog, and regretted it so much that he wanted to slap himself a few times. Chapter 869. Originally, although Wu Yingxiong was not as valued by Jiang Tian as Huqing Tian and the others, he was still a member of Tianqing school. With the title of Kong Teichu's disciple, he was much stronger than before in the southwest. Even the charming young woman, Hua Wanfang of the sect of Shadowblight, who had been coveting him for a long time, was married to him. But now he was courting death. Not only was all his previous efforts wasted, but he was also inviting a terrible disaster. Yes, I remember. But you still have to die. If you betray me once, you can betray me 10,000 times. You can't live. Jiang Tian sneered. With a boom, the purple lightning blade swept out again. The dozens of people of the Wu family were instantly turned into ashes and completely disappeared from this world. Master Kong, please show mercy. All the incomplete maps of the ruins of immortality of the Amei sect of Shu Mountain are here. Taoist Master Xuanji said nothing. Plop. He knelt on the ground and held out 3 incomplete maps of the ruins of immortality with trembling hands. Master Kong, please spare my life. It was that bastard Hao Taichong who acted on his own initiative and wanted to be Master Kang's enemy. We didn't want to. Yeah, we couldn't stop him if he wanted to give us his head. He deserved to be killed by Master Kong. What kind of joke is this? At that time, I wanted to deceive my master and destroy my ancestors. I wanted to kill this old cow nose. And that Song Shuangyan, ugly and weak, insisted on being Master Kang's enemy. I didn't like him since a long time ago. The rest of the disciples also rushed to kowtow and crusade against Hao Taichong and Song Shuangyan. They were afraid that they would be killed by Jiang Tian if they were late. These disciples of the Amei sect had come excitedly, expecting to see Jiang Tian killed by Yi Tianren with one strike. But now, they were all silent and trembling. They were so scared that they pissed their pants. They couldn't be arrogant anymore. They were all transcendent state cultivators, and were as lofty as gods in the eyes of ordinary people. But at this moment, he lowered his head deeply and begged for mercy incoherently. His eyes were full of shock, fear, and regret, and he didn't even dare to look at Jiang Tian. Oh, thanks. Jiang Tian nodded in satisfaction. Smiling faintly, he took the map and tossed it into the sky-devouring demonic gourd. Amei Sword Sect is willing to pledge allegiance to Master Kong and become Master Kang's sect branch like Wudong. Taoist Master Xuanji relaxed and smiled flatteringly. You've seen how much the children worship Master Kong. I'll definitely be loyal and devoted. Pa. Jiang Tian raised his hand and shot out a beam of finger light. Taoist Xuanji lowered his head to look at the large hole in his chest that was charred and smoking. He looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief and said, Master Kong, how could you go back on your word? When did I say that I wouldn't kill you? No one who offends me, Kong Teichu, can live. Jiang Tian sneered. Bullshit, Amei Sword Sect. You're so weak that you don't even deserve to be dogs. Go to hell. Taoist Master Xuanji's face was filled with unwillingness and despair as he fell to one side. The last scene he saw in his life was the scene of Jiang Tian, slapping the remaining several dozen Amei disciples into pieces of flesh and blood. The Amei Sword Sect, the best sword sect in the world in terms of offense and a 1,000-year-old Taoist sect, was destroyed by Jiang Tian. Some of the others were just there to watch the battle, and didn't have any conflicts with Jiang Tian. But at this moment, all of them were terrified out of their wits by Jiang Tian's monstrous killing intent, and they felt uneasy. All of them knelt on the ground, and were terrified to the point of shivering. The current Kong Teichu was truly invincible in Wuxia, invincible in the world like a god. He could kill a few people as easily as crushing a few ants. None of the people present could withstand his thunderous fury. Get up. You have no quarrel with me, so I won't kill you. Jiang Tian said calmly. Everyone felt relieved as if they had been pardoned. But then they heard Jiang Tian say calmly, "But if anyone dares to talk behind my back in the future, I won't spare you. Why are you so talkative?" "Yes, we won't dare to do it again." Everyone kowtowed like they were pounding garlic. Jiang Tian lifted his foot and left. Yi Tianren hurriedly chased after him and asked, "Master, where are you going? I have something important to report." "This," Jiang Tian said telepathically, then rose into the air and flew toward the venue of the live broadcast. Looking at Jiang Tian's back, Yi Tianren sighed with envy. "Sigh, Master Kang's cultivation is so powerful, but I didn't expect him to have such a rich life in his spare time. I can't compare to him. I can't compare to him." After Jiang Tian left, someone suddenly remembered. "Right, where's Kai Xiaochen? Didn't Master Kang kill him?" Everyone looked around and found Kai Xiaochen lying on the ground, vomiting green bile. His eyes were white, and his body was twitching. He had fainted from fright. Next to him, a few disciples were guarding him. They looked miserable and trembling. It took Jiang Tian only 1.5 hours to leave the venue of the live broadcast, defeat Yi Tianren, kill all the martial arts sects and families, and return to the venue of the live broadcast. At this time, the venue of the live broadcast was still very lively. All the live broadcast celebrities were showing off their unique skills, encouraging fans to give gifts. The rich people were also frantically giving gifts to show off their wealth. There was even a female glutton who was crazily eating all kinds of cold seafood. She had already eaten 10 kilograms. This amazing talent also attracted a lot of fans. Now, Cutie Lee had firmly occupied the first place of the live broadcast that night. Other online celebrities couldn't catch up at all. For example, Zhao Qianru's live broadcast room was now ranked outside the top 20. Except for Jiang Tian's 10 million gift, the rest of the fans' gifts added up to less than 50,000 yuan. And Fatty Lee firmly occupied the first place of the fan list. After all, he had given more than 100 million yuan. The other fans, no matter how crazy they were, could only give a gift of 100,000 yuan or 80,000 yuan at most. In fact, even if they gave a gift of 100,000 yuan or 80,000 yuan, most of them were online celebrities, not pure fans. They looked at Fatty Lee with envy and jealousy and sighed helplessly. Even if you have money, you shouldn't play like this. You don't treat money as money at all. As expected of a family with a mine. They couldn't afford to offend him. This time, Cutie Lee's live broadcast ceremony's strongest online celebrity trophy was inevitable. Money is like paper to me. It's just a concept of numbers. I don't lack money. Fatty Lee was also very proud. He started the live broadcast and interacted with the fans. From time to time he would connect with Cutie Lee. "Io, little white dragon in the waves is back. How dare he come back? Didn't he just say that he didn't have money and didn't dare to compete? So he made a phone call to escape? Could it be that he went out to borrow money? Borrowing money to give gifts, is he a fool? There are a lot of such fools. Some time ago, there was a fan who was in charge of finance. Didn't he embezzle public funds to give gifts to the live broadcast? He was even arrested." When Jiang Tian walked into the venue again, some people noticed him and exclaimed. After all, Jiang Tian was also the second place on the fan list. As soon as he entered, he immediately attracted a lot of attention. Haha, he still dares to come. Fatty Lee was bragging with other fans in Cutie Lee's live broadcast room. Suddenly he saw Jiang Tian coming. He immediately smiled contemptuously and shouted to the fans, "Brothers, today I met a pretentious person called Little White Dragon in the Waves. He wants to compete with me for the first place on the platform's fan list. Watch me squeeze him. Hey, today I'm going to let everyone see what it means to be rich and willful. What it means to be rich and do whatever you want." Jiang Tian was talking to Zhao Xueqing about the battle with Yi Tianren just now. Qing'er listened and nodded with relief. This is very good. Yi Tianren is a promising talent. His future is limitless. If he is trained well, I am afraid it is comparable to 3 Tianqing School. Later, she looked at the silver frost on Jiang Tian's temples and said worriedly, "It's just that you used the reversal of time and space blade. Is your cultivation okay?" It's not a big deal. My cultivation is still in the foundation establishment stage. I only need to rest for about 10 days to fully recover my cultivation, Jiang Tian said. That's good. I knew it. My husband is the most invincible. Zhao Xueqing kissed Jiang Tian on the cheek. Suddenly, an untimely voice rang out. Little white dragon in the waves, you think you are invincible? Keep bragging. You were suppressed by me just now, so you escaped through the phone. Our bet is not over yet. Come on, let's continue. Li Baiwan challenges Little White Dragon in the waves. In the Watch Me live broadcast platform, the two biggest local tyrants in history are fighting. Who will win and who will lose? For a time, the internet celebrities and local tyrants present all came to watch and pointed the live broadcast camera at the two of them to commentate. There was a reason for this. Anyway, Cutie Lee had firmly occupied the first place, and there was no hope for everyone to turn the tables. The reward competition between Li Baiwan and Little White Dragon in the waves was very topical. The effect was better than the effect of his own live broadcast. It was better to let the fans watch this. With so many cameras pointing at him, Jiang Tian was also a little disgusted. He immediately ran his cultivation method to cover his face with a layer of faint white true essence. You have no money, right? You can't play anymore, right? If you have no money, immediately admit defeat to your brother. Seeing that Jiang Tian didn't speak, Fatty Li smiled proudly. Hee, fighting with Li Baiwan. He really thinks that he has too much money. That's right. His family has a mind, does he? This is called not knowing the immensity of heaven and earth. He has to fight with the local tyrant. Now he can't back down. That's right. Fatty Li is really rich. One reward of 100 million real gold and silver, without even blinking his eyes. Not only Fatty Li, but everyone was full of contempt and ridicule, thinking that Jiang Tian had no money and didn't dare to play with Fatty Li. If he could really play, who would use the phone to escape? With so many people watching, it would be so embarrassing. Cutie Lee also said with a hoarse voice, with a mocking face, that's right, rich people don't watch the live broadcast of heroic deeds. A dead hero can't dance. It's not cute at all. She continued to incite the fans to give rewards, waving her pink fists, singing and shouting. Get up, brothers who don't want to be slaves. Continue to give rewards. Step on Little White Dragon, Little Ruru, into the dust for me. Step on those dead bears to hell for me. What bullshit heroes. Fatty Li, are you so poor? 100 million. Is it a lot of money? Suddenly, in the midst of many mocking words, Jiang Tian spoke faintly, his face full of contempt. Chapter 870. Damn Little White Dragon, in terms of acting tough, I only admire you in all of Wuxia. Fatty Li was slightly stunned, then full of ridicule, and said in a strange tone. 100 million is not a lot. Why don't you give me a reward? If you can give another 5 million, you can be considered a rich man. Haha, brothers, look, there is a pretentious criminal here, bragging again. Bragging that he is rich, bragging that he is the richest man in the world. Cutie Lee also reached out to the fans and winked. It was ugly and monotonous, but there were fans who bought it. Is 100 million a lot of money? Little White Dragon's words are really domineering. It is almost the same as a small goal of 100 million. Poverty has limited my imagination. You can do whatever you want if you have money. Online and offline internet celebrities and nouveau riche fans were also in their own rooms, mocking Jiang Tian and crazily spamming. The first bragging king of tonight's live broadcast ceremony is born. This laurel is awarded to Mr. Little White Dragon. For a time, many fans of Cutie Lee also humiliated and ridiculed Jiang Tian. The entire platform's rooms were crazily spamming, and it could even be said that the screen was about to explode. Little White Dragon has spent 10 million gifts. I am afraid it is possible to spend tens of millions more. There were also sober fans who made different voices, but they were immediately drowned out by other fans. That can't be compared with Li Baiwan. He is a real nouveau riche. Titanium alloy nouveau riche. His family has a mine. Most of the internet celebrity fans thought so. Okay, I will give you a reward. 1 billion. Jiang Tian whispered and took out his mobile phone. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. They stared fixedly at Jiang Tian, unable to take their eyes off him. He really wants to compete. Jiang Tian pressed the phone a few times, but it did not turn on. He frowned and said, "The phone is broken. It was burned by Yi Tianren's thunder technique. Qinger, lend me your phone." Bah! Just now the phone escape, and now the phone is burned. Escape, little white dragon, your escape technique is the best in the world. You know how to play. City people really know how to play. This is too deep. Everyone complained and looked at Jiang Tian with disdain. Whether it was the people online or in the venue, they all thought of Jiang Tian as a clown, an existence that was puffing himself up at his own cost. What kind of status do you have? What's the point of being angry with them? Zhao Xueqing looked at Jiang Tian lovingly. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but she still handed the phone over to Jiang Tian. In any case, the gifts, the platform, and the internet celebrity are all ours. Put them in your left pocket and put them in your right. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. He logged into the live broadcast room with Qinger's mobile phone and quickly bid for the gift on the platform. Some of the gifts started at tens of thousands of yuan. However, Jiang Tian directly ordered a few gifts and bought them for 1 billion yuan. A total of 1 billion was thrown out in one go. Hee, he's really giving me a reward. Is it a few hundred or 1,000? Cutie Lee's face was full of mockery. She looked at the platform's fan ranking with contempt. Then, as if her chrysanthemum had been burst, she exclaimed in shock. 1 billion. Boom. The screen of Zhao Qianru's live broadcast room was about to explode. Even the entire internet was about to explode the moment Jiang Tian's reward landed. Weibo's trending searches, portal websites, and friend circles were all reposting the news. Countless people flocked to the Watch Me platform and registered as new users. They entered Zhao Qianru's live broadcast room to enjoy the feast of wealth. Cute Lee and Fatty Lee were dumbfounded. For the first time, they saw what it meant to be able to do whatever you want with money. Congratulations, little Ruru. You've received a gift of 1 billion yuan. The total amount of gifts is, become the platform's #1 internet celebrity. The female host's voice was trembling, but her eyes were full of excitement and ecstasy. The more gifts there were, the more the platform's commission would be. The staff's bonus for this event would also be more generous. The effect of today's event was far beyond expectations. Now, the number of people online Watch Me had exceeded 100 million. It broke the historical record in one night. The server was about to crash. The technical staff quickly added a temporary server. You're crazy. Fatty Lee's fat face twitched a few times as he looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief. Jiang Tian had just thrown in 1 billion yuan of real money. Even if he had money, he wouldn't dare to play like this. All the internet celebrities and local tycoon fans in the audience were dumbfounded. 1 billion yuan. It was equivalent to a year's profit of a medium-sized listed company. Even if you have money, it didn't come from the wind. How can you be so prodigal and play like this? Li Baiwan, just a small goal of 1 billion yuan has scared you to this extent. Jiang Tian said with a playful face. Aren't you very rich? Don't you have a mine at home? Aren't you not short of money? Continue to send gifts. If you don't dare to follow, that's fine too. Just admit defeat and call me grandpa. Who said I can't follow? Fatty Lee was furious. He picked up his mobile phone and made a call. He quickly gathered 3 billion yuan. In fact, his real assets were only 300 or 400 million yuan, but he still had connections. Moreover, he just said hello to Zhang Huqin. He wanted to reward 3 billion yuan, but the platform could only take a fixed cut of 500 million yuan. As for Cutie Lee, according to their private agreement, she would return all the rewards she received to him. Therefore, he had only spent 500 million yuan. Therefore, he could still afford to play. Snap. His hands trembled as he operated his mobile phone and quickly sent a gift of 3 billion yuan to Cutie Lee. Congratulations to Cutie Lee for getting a gift of 3 billion yuan, surpassing Xiao Ruru, and once again becoming the #1 internet celebrity. On the stage, the female host was radiant. She came to the stage again and shouted excitedly in the exciting music. How about it? I gave you 3 billion yuan as a gift. If you have the guts, take it out. If you can't take it out, then obediently call me Grandpa. Fatty Lee was also complacent and shouted arrogantly. The rapid secretion of dopamine in his body made his fat body tremble. His fat face was distorted for a while. Oh, okay. Fatty Lee, today I will let you see what it means to not be short of money. Jiang Tian laughed, and without saying a word, he spent 10 billion yuan to buy a gift and sent it to Zhao Qianru again. Anyway, she was his sister-in-law. He originally wanted to support her positive energy live broadcast career and sent a few billion yuan. Jiang Tian didn't care at all. Dead silence. The audience was dead silent. Even the female host was stunned. Everyone stood there in a daze, forgetting to announce the amount of rewards and the change of ranking on the stage. 10 billion yuan as a gift. This is simply not treating money as money. Poverty has limited my imagination. Being rich is really too willful. You really dare to do whatever you want. Are you still playing? Go on. Go on. Jiang Tian looked at the ashen-faced Fatty Lee with a smile and teased. If you give another 1 million yuan, I will consider it as your win. I heard that your family owns a mine. Don't tell me you can't even take out 1 million yuan? 10 billion. Fatty Lee was so shocked that his whole body trembled. His face was as pale as paper. He was so embarrassed by Jiang Tian, but he didn't dare to say a word. Brotherly, you continue to give rewards. I still want to fight for first place. Cutie Lee rubbed her flat chest against Fatty Lee's arm and shouted discontentedly. I'll give you ass. Fatty Lee gritted his teeth and wanted to give her a slap in the face. Just now he was put on the spot by Jiang Tian. His blood was stimulated, so he fought with Jiang Tian. But now that he came back to his senses, he realized that the amount of rewards he gave had far exceeded all his assets. Even if Cutie Lee gave him the money she got, even if the platform only took 500 million yuan, it wouldn't be enough to fill the hole. In other words, if those creditors asked him to pay back the money, he would immediately go bankrupt. He still wanted to play and continue to give rewards. Only a fool would play. Fatty Lee, you don't want to play anymore. Jiang Tian said faintly. Then kneel down and kowtow and call me Grandpa. Our bet can't go back on it. You're going too far. Who do you think you are? How dare you? Fatty Lee was furious and pointed at Jiang Tian. Slap. Jiang Tian didn't say anything and directly slapped Fatty Lee's face. So what if I bully you? Jiang Tian smiled and said, Didn't you say that whoever retracts first is the grandson? Why don't you admit it now? You dare to hit me. Fatty Lee was beaten until he staggered back. He stared at Jiang Tian in shock and anger. Didn't you just show off that you have money? Didn't you say that your family has a mine? You don't even have 10 billion yuan, and you still come out to show off. Jiang Tian said with a face full of ridicule. Hearing Jiang Tian's words, everyone was dumbfounded for a while. Buddy, you don't treat money as money. 10 billion yuan wasn't a small number. Looking at Wuxia, how many people had so much money? Are you going to call me Grandpa or not? Jiang Tian's eyes suddenly became as cold as a knife. I'm calling. Coming into contact with Jiang Tian's sharp gaze, Fatty Lee was actually so scared that his entire body trembled. Why is his eyes so scary? He looks even scarier than those top gangsters who suppressed Jin province. Young Master Hu Qin is here. President Zhang Yilin is here too. But at this moment, there was an exclamation. Everyone looked at the entrance of the venue with shock in their eyes. They saw Zhang Huqin, Jiang Bangxia, Zhang Yilin, and several other people in charge of the event, dressed in splendid clothes and holding red wine in their hands, came out together. As the executives of the platform and the host of the event, they wanted to toast and thank the internet celebrities who worked hard for the platform for a year and earned a lot of money for the platform. Haha, little white dragon, I'll let you be arrogant. If you have the guts, continue to be arrogant. Fatty Lee, who was about to kneel down in humiliation, was suddenly revived. He pointed at Jiang Tian's nose and laughed. Do you know who Wan is that you just hit? That's young Master Zhang's girlfriend. Boy, you'll be skinned alive by him. Moreover, I'm very familiar with young Master Hu Qin. I'm his loyal follower. I can ask him to abolish Xiao Ruru's ranking. Your money is completely wasted, believe it or not. I even just got a discount from the platform. All the reward platforms only took 500 million yuan. He looked at Jiang Tian with contempt, as if he was looking at a fool, and mocked him triumphantly. And your 10 billion yuan is real money. But it's all in vain. After all, the gifts you sent were all bought at a premium. In fact, the real value is only a few million yuan. May I ask, little white dragon, do you feel sorry for it? Frown. Hey, are you going to cry? Ha ha ha, let me see you cry. Chapter 871. As soon as these words came out, everyone came to a realization and looked at Jiang Tian, as if they were looking at a fool. This person was an idiot. That's right, Jiang Tian won this battle of the rich, but what was the point? He spent more than 10 billion to buy the #1 fan of the live broadcast platform. But could that be spent as money? It was not worth a single cent. What about Fatty Lee? He had long been familiar with the platform's executives. He only spent 500 million to push Cutie Lee to the #1 online celebrity. This created commercial value. Cutie Lee could be a game ambassador in the future, earn money from live broadcasts, or directly enter the entertainment industry to act or participate in variety shows. She could make money. She might be able to earn back 500 million by several times. And you? You got nothing. You spent 10 billion for nothing. That cute girl also looked down on them as if they were ants. She sneered and mocked them. That's right, little Ruru. Little white dragon is rich, but you have nothing to do with it. Our connections are something you can't compare to. Do you think this is a fair ranking competition? Wrong. This ranking competition depends on connections. Not only do we have money, but we also have connections. That's why we can do whatever we want. So, from the beginning, you're bound to lose. Is that so? Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said disdainfully. Is Zhang Huchen your backing? Ask him to come over and kowtow to me. This person is really crazy. How dare you be disrespectful to Zhang Huchen? Cutie Lee and many other online celebrities looked at Jiang Tian as if they were looking at a fool. They couldn't believe it. So what if you're rich? Zhang Huchen was the direct descendant of Yanjing's Zhang family. This was not as simple as being rich. In Wuxia, since ancient times, the people had not fought with the officials. The other party's authority was monstrous. Just a stretch of a finger could crush you into smithereens. Tisk reckless thing. Just you wait. Fatty Lee stretched out his fat finger and pointed at Jiang Tian. Then, like a loyal dog that saw its master, he swaggered to Zhang Huchen and bowed. Young Master Zhang, I was just beaten up by someone in your territory. Who did it? You're the one who beat up that bastard Wanwan. You have to back me up. Motherfucker, let's see who dares to pick a fight with me. I'll skin him alive. Zhang Huchen was also angry after hearing Wanwan's explanation. Now that he heard these words, how could he hold himself back? His eyes turned cold and he cursed. With Jiang Tian's support, the Zhang family was no longer the same as before. Just yesterday, Mo Yuza, one of the top princes in Yanjin, asked him to go on a yacht ride. No one in Wuxia would dare to provoke him. He took large strides and charged towards Jiang Tian aggressively. Damn, young Master Huchen is indeed young Master Huchen. That was how ferocious he was. Kill all who stand in our way. Fatty Lee, Kuei Lee, Wanwan and other internet celebrities all looked at Zhang Huchen with admiration, as if they had seen their idol. The lights in the venue were colorful, blurring the vision. When Zhang Huchen got closer, he finally saw Jiang Tian's face. His body suddenly stiffened, and he stood there dumbfounded. Cold sweat ran down his back like a stream. Young Master Huchen, he's the one who beat me up. Hurry up and teach him a lesson. Wanwan grabbed Zhang Huchen's arm, pointed at Jiang Tian and roared angrily with a face full of shame. Yeah, he was just scolding you. He told you to kneel down and kowtow. I say, don't let him live. Just chop him up. Cutie Lee chimed in, fanning the flames. Wanwan looked at Jiang Tian in disdain and said, Little white dragon, are you scared now? Kneel down and beg for mercy. Damn it, you're trying to get me killed. Zhang Huchen wanted to cry. Shut up. He turned around and slapped Wanwan's face, then slapped Kuei Lee's face. Smack. Smack. Two crisp sounds shocked the whole audience. A few of Wanwan's teeth flew out, and half of her face suddenly swelled like a pig's head. Koali's nose was bleeding, and she was seeing stars. She sat on the ground in a daze. Fatty Lee's smile was also stiff on his face. He couldn't believe it. Young Master Huchen, what's going on? Then, under everyone's incredulous gaze, Zhang Huchen flopped down on the ground. He knelt on the ground, trembling all over, and said with tears in his eyes, Grandmaster Jiang, it's all my fault, please punish me. This? You, why are you kneeling down? Fatty Lee, Wanwan, Koali, and many other internet celebrities and local tycoons stood there dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it. This was Zhang Huchen they were talking about. In their hearts, he was a godlike figure. But at this moment, he actually knelt down and kowtowed to this unknown kid. What was going on? Zhang Huchen, you're really something. Little internet celebrity, you're quite good. Jiang Tian sipped the red wine slowly and said with a cold smile. It's just that the taste is a bit heavy. It's so ugly, and you're still playing. Master Kong, I know I'm wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Zhang Huchen was scared out of his wits. He knew Jiang Tian's temperament very well. He was decisive and ruthless. Jiang Tian and the Zhang family had a thin relationship. If he wanted to kill him, it would be just a matter of a word. It seemed that Zhang Huchen was very afraid of this little white dragon. What was his background? Just when everyone was shocked and puzzled. Chairman. Jiang Bangxia and Zhang Yilin walked up to Jiang Tian with a face full of shame and bowed deeply. What? Chairman? Everyone was stunned, as if they had been struck by lightning. They stood there motionless, and their faces were full of disbelief. Zhang Yilin's eyes were red. She said with shame, I didn't expect there to be so much chaos in the live broadcast. I will deal with it seriously and strengthen the management. She had just briefly understood the situation and knew that in a sense, tonight's event had been messed up. The traffic had indeed increased a lot, but Cutie Lee and the other streamers were slandering heroes, singing revolutionary songs, manipulating the rankings, and engaging in personal attacks. Maybe if Jiang Tian was unhappy, he would directly shut down this app. Look at Me app, now valued at $10 billion US, must be very valuable in the eyes of ordinary people. But Jiang Tian's assets were now in the trillions of US dollars. To him, it was just a drop in the ocean. If he said he would shut it down, it would be shut down. Most importantly, she was worried that Jiang Tian would be disappointed. Disappointed in her. When Jiang Tian first created this live broadcast app, it was for the live broadcast of the Immortal Healing Village. He hoped that she could spread Chinese medicine and other excellent national culture. Jiang Tian was busy cultivating and conquering the world. He was very busy and rarely saw her. In the few meetings he had with her that he could count on his fingers and still remembered clearly, Jiang Tian earnestly told her that the Look at Me live broadcast should focus on social benefits first and economic benefits second. The main purpose should be to promote social justice and spread positive energy. Don't do those dirty things. But now, Chairman Zhang, brother-in-law, is the chairman of the Look at Me platform? And Jones Jewelry? Zhao Qianru asked in disbelief. That's right. Zhang Yilin smiled bitterly. Her beautiful eyes looked around at the crowd and introduced. Mr. Jiang is the real boss of the Look at Me live broadcast platform. We are just working for Mr. Jiang. In addition, Mr. Jiang is also the actual controller of the sponsors of this event, Annalyn, Jones Jewelry, and Pottle Winery. Thump. Fatty Lee, Wanwan Ali, and several others who were against Jiang Tian were so scared that their hearts thumped and their souls almost left their bodies. They knew that they had offended a real god today. I've been played to death. He really knows how to play. Especially Fatty Lee, who suddenly understood at this time. He wanted to cry but had no tears. He and Jiang Tian competed to buy gifts. Although he went bankrupt, Jiang Tian also spent real money. And it was more than 10 billion. He still felt a little comforted in his heart. After all, Jiang Tian's money was like throwing meat buns at a dog. It was gone forever. But he never expected. Jiang Tian was not only the boss of the Look at Me platform, but also the boss of the sponsors. He was also the brother-in-law of the female streamer, Xiao Ruru. This was equivalent to buying gifts and giving them to himself. He didn't spend a single cent. But what about himself? He was really bankrupt. Zhang Yilin, it seems that you understand the situation. Jiang Tian shook the red wine glass, took a sip, and said lightly, do you know how to deal with it? Ali Wanwan, you slandered heroes, smoked, and scolded people in the live broadcast. Your words and actions were inappropriate and violated the contracts signed with the platform. Zhang Yilin turned around and said coldly, our company will terminate the contract with the two of you now and will file a legal lawsuit. Each of you will face a compensation of 500 million for breaching the contract. President Zhang, you can't. I don't have that kind of money. 500 million, even if you sell me, it's not worth it. At this time, Ali could no longer be arrogant. Her legs were weak, and she sat on the ground. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Her fake eyelashes were washed away by the tears, leaving black marks on her face. It was extremely ugly. 500 million. How much money did she have? This was undoubtedly an astronomical figure for her. She couldn't afford it in her lifetime. Huchen, help me. I can't afford it. Wanwan's tears were also flowing. She cried until she was out of breath and pulled Zhang Huchen to beg. Help you? How can I help you? Zhang Huchen kicked her in the stomach, causing her to spit out her dinner. Zhang Huchen turned ruthless. Are you blind? You even dared to scold the company's chairman. Who can save you? Help Wanwan? Then he must be tired of living. Jiang Tian could kill Zhang Huchen if he was unhappy. Besides, in Zhang Huchen's opinion, Jiang Tian was already very kind to not kill Wanwan and the rest. What kind of people had Jiang Tian not killed? In the UK, even Buckingham Palace was flattened by Jiang Tian. In the US, even Little Morgan was killed by him with a snap of his fingers. How many heads do you have for Jiang Tian to chop off? Zhang Huchen was also very angry with Wanwan and the rest at this moment. How could you be so blind to provoke Jiang Tian and call me over? You're sending me to my death. Chapter 872. Suddenly, Cutie Lee, who was in despair, wiped her tears and begged, President Zhang, Fatty Lee gave me a gift of 3 billion yuan tonight. And my commission is also 5 billion yuan. I'll compensate the company with this money, okay? Zhang Yilin was non-committal. Yang Xueli, we agreed before. You have to give me the money. Besides, the platform only takes 500 million yuan. Fatty Lee was like a tomcat whose tail had been cut off. He suddenly opened his eyes wide and screamed loudly. Where's the contract? Where's the witness? Who can prove it? Whether the platform takes 500 million or 5 billion yuan, the rest of the reward is mine. Yang Xueli turned hostile and said fiercely, You bitch, give me back my money. Fatty Lee suddenly grabbed Yang Xueli's hair and beat her up. He hit her 3 times on the bridge of her nose. Fuck you. Didn't you sleep with me before? Yang Xueli scolded. After all, she was also a delinquent girl. She was a good girl who was good at smoking, drinking, perming her hair, abortion, bars, and gang fights. She immediately fought back bravely and hit Fatty Lee's crotch 3 times. I only slept with you a few times, and it's worth hundreds of millions of yuan. Are you diamond-studded? Fatty Lee screamed with tears. The two people suddenly wrestled and scratched each other. They went back and forth, panting for breath, spewing out profanities, jabbing at each other and cursing each other. It was extremely vulgar and ugly. Seeing Jiang Tian frowning in displeasure, Zhang Huchen was so scared that his whole body trembled. He strode forward and gave each of them a big slap. He angrily shouted, If you want to fight, do it outside. Don't disturb the event here. Please get out immediately. Several tall and burly security guards quickly came forward and carried the two of them out of the venue. Wanwan was also driven out like a stray dog. Young Master Huchen, you promised me that the platform will only take 500 million yuan. You must help me. I owe 3 billion yuan outside and I'm bankrupt. Fatty Lee, like a fat penguin, kicked his round legs and shouted with tears on his face. What are you talking about? Why would I do something like this? When did I promise you anything? The platform's 5 billion commission. Don't even think about taking a single cent less. Zhang Huchen was shocked again. He shouted angrily and winked at the security guards. The security guards with penetrating eyebrows punched Fatty Lee's stomach several times, which made him spit out the red wine he had just drunk. He couldn't scream and quickly carried the two people out. After Fatty Lee and the other two were cleared out, the whole place was dead silent. Everyone was stupefied. They didn't dare believe what they were seeing. They didn't think that the battle of wealth would end like this. Although after this storm, the venue was a little chaotic, and everyone was on tenterhooks. However, the glib-tongued host immediately stepped onto the stage to warm up the atmosphere. There were a few more exciting programs, which quickly diluted the panic and chaos in the venue. Listen up, all of you. Building bridges and paving roads without corpses. Killing and arson is a golden belt. This world shouldn't be like this. In the noisy music, Jiang Tian beckoned Zhang Yilin, Jiang Bengxia, and the others to come over. He said seriously, "The whole world knows about the family affairs of the actress, and no one asks about the general's lonely grave. This world shouldn't be like this. I'm too lazy to say anything more to you. I just hope that before you do anything, you will ask your conscience more and do more good deeds. Brother Tian, we understand. It will never be like this in the future." Zhang Yilin, Jiang Bengxia, and Zhang Huchen were all ashamed and nodded anxiously. After watching the program for a while, Qing'er yawned and said that she was a little tired. Jiang Tian didn't intend to stay any longer. He let Zhao Qianru wait here alone to receive the award, and helped Zhao Xueqing back first. In the end, the female host announced the Watch Me Live app, the strongest internet celebrity of the year, Little Ruru. In the applause, Zhao Qianru happily went to the stage to receive the trophy and bonus, and gave a speech. She thanked the fans for their support, and called on everyone to pay more attention to the heroes' widows and vulnerable groups. During the executive speech, Zhang Yilin, the president of the Watch Me Live app, looked solemn and apologized to the public for the inappropriate behavior of the internet celebrities under her company. She also expressed, in the future, she would strengthen the supervision of internet celebrities, actively carry out self-examination and self-correction, and vigorously promote positive internet celebrities and so on. For Jiang Tian, the live broadcast ceremony was just a small episode, and he didn't care at all. The battle between Yi Tianren and Jiang Tian at the View Lake Villa was not small. But Chao Shixiang had already asked the police to release the news that the anti-terrorist military exercise in that area was going to be carried out. Although the earth-shattering explosion caused a lot of speculation, this matter was finally fooled. 3 days later, Jiang Tian and Qing'er went to attend Shenlu and Zheng Li's wedding, which could be considered as fulfilling one of their wishes. Jiang Tian first drove to Shenlu and Zheng Li's new house with Qing'er. It was a seaside villa facing Hong Kong across the sea, and the environment was beautiful. "Master Kong, Mrs. Jiang, I didn't expect you to come in person. You really bring light to my humble home. You really make this old man feel uneasy and very touched." Zheng Jiushuan, who was wearing a red cotton robe, came out to greet them with the help of Zheng Li and Shenlu, and surrounded by the parents of the two families. He was so excited that tears streamed down his face. As one of the first people to know Jiang Tian, he at least knew about Jiang Tian's influence in the secular world. Sidoni's master, in terms of worldly wealth, was probably the richest in the world, and in terms of power, he was an existence that could talk to the bigwigs in Wuxia on an equal footing. Although he only knew bits and pieces of Jiang Tian, it was enough to make him admire Jiang Tian very much. In fact, the Zheng family was now very marginalized in Jiang Tian's camp. They were basically limited to the Lingnan area, and were far inferior to Yi Gufeng and the other families in Lingnan. Yi Gufeng now at least controlled Sidoni's maritime transportation industry, and became a shipping tycoon. The several big families in Yangcheng also blossomed in the fields of infrastructure and military industry. They had become prominent companies in the world. But Zheng Jiushuan didn't complain. Jiang Tian's arrangements had deep meaning, and he was very satisfied with the current situation. He didn't even think that Jiang Tian would come to Shen Li's wedding. He didn't even let Shen Lu inform Jiang Tian before, because Jiang Tian and Shen Lu had only been colleagues for a few days. But he didn't know. In his previous life, Shenle was an extremely important person to Jiang Tian. He was a good brother who was willing to sacrifice his life for Jiang Tian. He should come. Old Zheng, take care of yourself. Jiang Tian shook hands with Zheng Jiuxuan and asked about his well-being. After a few years, Zheng Jiuxuan had aged rapidly and had many chronic diseases. He probably wouldn't last another 5 years. But Jiang Tian didn't want to save him. Everyone had their own fate. Dying of old age was also a good ending. This was the law of nature. Thanks to Master Kong, this old man can still live for a few more years. Zheng Jiuxuan grabbed Jiang Tian's hand tightly and shook it with all his might. He was so excited that his whole body was trembling. Jiang Tian looked at Shenle behind Zheng Jiuxuan and laughed mockingly. Shenle, you've put on weight. You've become a ball. Shenle was originally tall and thin, but now he had become a ball. He was estimated to be 200 pounds. Haha, I can only say that my life is too blissful. Shenle scratched his head embarrassedly and laughed. But you're getting more and more handsome. With this temperament, you can even act in a movie. But in the next moment, his poisonous tongue erupted. He blinked his eyes and laughed evilly. You went to South Korea for plastic surgery, right? You're old now, so it's easy for you to collapse. It's like a car accident. Zheng Jiuxuan was anxious. He stomped his foot and scolded. Shenle, you're crazy. Don't be disrespectful to Master Kong. Master Kong is now the ruler of a country, and the head of a sect. If you ridicule him like this, oh God, if he gets angry, will our Shen family still have a way out? Damn it, Shenle. That mouth of yours is just asking for trouble. You should go to Diyun's society. Elder Zheng, it's just a joke. It's fine. Jiang Tian laughed heartily. He didn't think much of it. In his previous life, Shenle didn't hesitate to die to protect him and Qing'er. That was a great kindness. So what if he made a few harmless jokes? Jiang Tian wasn't willing to turn himself into an emotionless stone. Zhengli looked carefully at Zhao Xueqing's stomach and laughed. Is Madame Jiang pregnant? Yes. It's almost 4 months. Zhao Xueqing held onto Jiang Tian's arm and nodded happily. That's great. Jiang Tian. Congratulations, you're going to be a father. Zhengli went to the other side to support Zhao Xueqing and smiled. Let's rest in the living room first. Madame Jiang can't catch a cold now. Zheng Jiuxuan hurriedly greeted them enthusiastically. Shenle, I also want to congratulate you. You didn't hesitate to sell your beauty and finally got your wish of hooking up with a rich woman. You're going to be a father. Jiang Tian teased as they sat down in the living room. Jiang Tian's face revealed a gratified expression. In the depths of his eyes, there were some vicissitudes in sighs. Shenle and Zhengli got married with a child. Now, Zhengli was also 2 months pregnant. In his previous life, Shenli's life was a failure. Because he protected Zhao Xueqing, he was crippled by Lu Wangfeng and lost his job. He was bullied and trampled on like a stray dog. In the end, he was cruelly abandoned by his girlfriend Li Danny. After Jiang Tian committed suicide by jumping off a cliff, Shenle lived a life of poverty and loneliness. In his previous life, after Jiang Tian ascended to the God realm, he broke through the void and returned to Linzhou. He wanted to find Shenli's son to repay his kindness, but he couldn't find him. He only heard from the descendants of Shenli's friends that Shenlu died in his 40s because of illness. He never married and didn't even leave behind a descendant. Moreover, when Shenlu died, there was no one by his side. When his body was found, it was already a few days after his death. Now, Jiang Tian was reborn and changed Shenli's fate. He had a great harvest in both his career and love. Everything was perfect. Jiang Tian felt very comfortable and relaxed. It was as if a huge rock had been lifted. Zhengli brought wedding candies for Jiang Tian and his wife. Shenle picked up the teapot and poured tea for Jiang Tian. He smiled and said, I rely on my ability to live off a woman. What can you do? I'm forcing myself to live off a woman. I'm convinced. I can't afford to offend you. Jiang Tian laughed heartily, like the boy next door, revealing a bright smile that he hadn't seen for a long time. Chapter 873. Speak seriously. Zhang Jiuxuan almost fainted from being angered by Shenlu, his nephew's son-in-law. He used his walking stick to support himself on the marble floor. In front of Grandmaster Jiang, "Can't you be more serious?" After that, they chatted for a while and talked about their daily lives. With Jiang Tian's help, Shenlu had been Zhang Jiuxuan's supplier after getting Lin Zhou's earthwork business. He gradually expanded into the construction field. After accumulating funds, he began to participate in project investment and development. During this process, Shenlu and Zheng Li also had feelings for each other. They hooked up and lived together shamelessly. When Jiang Tian returned, Zheng Li was the Wuxia Group's Deputy Minister of Human Resources. In these few years, she quickly realized the leap from minister to project director, vice president, president, and board member. She almost took a step forward in a year. Moreover, both of them got Wuxia Group shares, which added up to 7 or 8%. In fact, Zheng Li was only Zhang Jiuxuan's niece, and was not considered a direct descendant. Zhang Jiuxuan's arrangement was all for Jiang Tian's face. Wuxia Group wanted to develop in the provincial capital, Yangcheng, and the southern part of Pearl River. The Tang and Tai families there were all Jiang Tian's underlings. Zheng Li was Jiang Tian's university classmate, and Shenlu was Jiang Tian's former colleague. These 2 points were enough to make these big families be courteous and take care of them. And the facts also proved that Zhang Jiuxuan's idea was wise. Wuxia Group's development in these few years was also very smooth. They quickly took over the entire Lingnan market and doubled their assets. After chatting for a while, Zheng Li went upstairs to change into her wedding dress and put on makeup. Later, everyone rushed to the venue together. Zhao Xueqing took out a big red envelope and offered it with both hands. She smiled and said, "Shenlu, I wish you a happy marriage and a long life together." "My god sister-in-law, how much money is inside?" "This red envelope is like a portfolio. Let me open it and see." Shenlu squeezed the red envelope and smiled. Zhao Xueqing smiled but didn't say anything. There were actually 3 contracts for the free gift of shares and 3 letters of appointment. Today, DuPont, Rockefeller, and Morgan had all been transformed into a corporation, controlled by Jiang Tian's Sidoni Consortium. Jiang Tian gave 1% of a company's shares to Shenlu. Now, Shenli's personal assets had reached tens of billions of dollars. He could be considered one of the richest people in Wuxia. Moreover, he was appointed as a core member of the board of directors of these 3 companies, and had veto power. Jiang Tian had already told Zhao Xueqing about the grudges that had happened in his previous life. Back then, in order to protect her, Shenlu did not care about his own safety. He was stabbed several times, his legs were broken, and he almost died an unnatural death. In this world, what was more precious than life? Now Jiang Tian and his wife had given Shenlu tens of billions of dollars, so what? Is this child stupid? Who would open a red packet in front of a guest? Zhang Jiuxuan was so angry that his nose was crooked. Why would Jiang Tian and I need these formalities? Shenlu laughed casually and turned to stuff the red packet into a bridesmaid's bag. Shenlu and Zheng Li had a few bridesmaids and groomsmen. They were all young masters and socialites from Guangzhou. They were either rich or respectable people. At this time, they were also in the hall, glancing at Jiang Tian, whispering and discussing. Lu Dongqing looked at Jiang Tian and said in surprise, "What's this kid's background? Why did old Master Zhang Jiuxuan come personally to welcome him?" Lu Dongqing's father was the 3rd in command of Lingnan's Department of Land and Resources. To put it bluntly, he could manage Wuxia Group. But when he came, Zhang Jiuxuan did not come out to welcome him. At this time, Zhang Jiuxuan was so respectful to Jiang Tian that he could not help but be curious about Jiang Tian's identity. Although Lingnan was Jiang Tian's sphere of influence, the number of times Jiang Tian had visited Lingnan since his return could be counted on one hand. This was especially true when Jiang Tian went overseas to develop. He rarely even returned to Wuxia. These people did not recognize Jiang Tian at all. Maybe he's the son of some big shot in the province. Another young master, Xuzhe, guessed. Xuzhe's facial lines were soft, and he had a fashionable sideways fringe. He had a bit of a Korean-style beauty, and his temperament was gentle and refined. Xuzhe's family was in the construction business, one of the top brands in the country. His family's assets were in the tens of billions, and he was one of Shen Li's close brothers. After Tang Xiaozi, Bai Choufei, Tai Minghuang, and the other old masters left Yangcheng, his status in the circle of young masters rose with the tide. He could be considered a first-tier young master, and one of the top few. Lu Dongqing shook his head and said, "Impossible. I know all the sons of those big shots in the province. There's no such person, not even one with the surname Jiang." Another slightly silent young master, Zhou Maoan, who wore black-rimmed glasses, said, "I think this brother surnamed Jiang isn't simple. His temperament is very handsome, and he's also free and easy. Let's get to know each other, and have a helper." Zhou Maoan's family was in the import and export business. Moreover, he had already inherited the family business, and was in control of the overall situation. Although he looked quiet and taciturn, he was actually extremely calm and shrewd, far surpassing his peers. "I'll go ask." Xu personality was more lively and active. He ran over to Zheng Jiuxuan and asked with a smile, "Uncle Zheng, this Mr. Jiang looks unfamiliar. Why don't you introduce him to us?" "Mr. Jiang is Shen Li's former colleague, and he's helped our family quite a bit." Zheng Jiuxuan's expression became awkward. "How could you guys be acquainted with someone at the level of Master Kong? Even if you brought out your parents, you still wouldn't have the qualifications. Moreover, where did the introduction of Grandmaster Jiang come from?" Jiang Tian's identity was too complicated, and many of his identities couldn't be easily revealed. Seeing that Zheng Jiuxuan didn't know how to open his mouth, Jiang Tian smiled indifferently and said, "My name is Jiang Tian. My hometown is Jinling. I used to be Shen Li's colleague, and now I'm developing in Africa." "Africa? You're doing construction?" Xu asked curiously. In Xu's eyes, Africa was a very backward place, and only the construction industry had a bit of opportunity. "You can say that." Jiang Tian also smiled. He started a construction frenzy in Sidoni, and speaking of which, he really did do a lot of construction projects. Xu suddenly lost interest and handed Jiang Tian a business card and said with a smile, "Let's keep in touch in the future." Jiang Tian politely took the business card and said with a smile, "Okay, but I don't have a business card." "It's okay, we'll get to know each other later." Xu smiled politely, but he was no longer interested in taking Jiang Tian's phone number. He returned to the group of young masters who were acting as groomsmen. "What's his background?" Lu Dongqing asked. Everyone listened attentively. "He's doing construction in Africa. Moreover, he was Shen Li's colleague before and he's a worker. I don't think he has a big background." Xu curled his lips in disdain and said with a lack of interest, "He must have helped Shen Lu when he was in danger. Uncle Zheng knows how to repay kindness, so he's giving him face." "Zhou Maoan, you said that he looks extraordinary, but I don't think so." Another young master, Sun Qingyu, put away his phone and smiled in disdain. His family was in the provincial tax office, and his father was also a deputy director. He opened a tax agency and had a lot of connections. He knew all the famous young masters in Linzhou. However, he had never heard of such a person. A moment later, Zheng Li also changed into her wedding dress and put on her makeup. According to the rules of Lingnan, she and Shen Lu kowtowed and served tea to the parents of both parties. Then came the firecrackers and music, and all kinds of complicated and cumbersome ceremonies. After the ceremony, they took the wedding car and rushed to the hotel where the wedding was held with many groomsmen and bridesmaids. Accompanied by Zheng Jiuxuan, Jiang Tian, Zhao Xueqing, and many other guests went to the wedding venue first. Millennium Xingtian Hotel. Huaxia's economy was developing rapidly. When Jiang Tian was in Linzhou, Millennium Xingtian Hotel didn't exist. Millennium Xingtian Hotel was now built according to the 5-star standard, and was extremely luxurious. It was said that the hotel was invested and managed by a hotel group in Singapore. The service was thoughtful and the guests felt at home. The rich children of Linzhou were proud to hold their weddings here. Jiang Tian and the others drove to the entrance of the hotel. However, all the cars were stopped by the lift and the security guards outside the hotel. "Why don't you open the door? We're here to attend Shen Lu and Zheng Li's wedding." Someone in the lead car opened the door and asked, "Sorry. This hotel has been booked today. You're not allowed to go in." The head of the security guard said formally, "What? There's such a thing? Didn't the bride and groom's families make an appointment and pay a deposit?" Everyone was dumbfounded. At this time, the person in charge of the wedding company ran over in a panic and said, "Where are the bride and groom? Their parents can come too. Something has happened. What's going on? How could it be occupied by someone else? We made an appointment 3 months ago." After hearing the news, Zheng Li's father had already gotten out of the car and was in contact with the hotel manager. At this moment, he quickly went up and asked, "Do you know Xi Mengwan?" The person in charge of the wedding company raised his hand and pointed at the huge poster with the bride and groom's photos at the entrance of the hotel. Zheng Li's father frowned and said, "I know her. This woman is a supermodel from Linzhou. She's very famous internationally. She once endorsed a high-end real estate project of the Guangxia Group." Some things were not convenient for him to say in public. At that time, Shenlu was already the project director and was responsible for liaising with Xi Mengwan. Xi Mengwan saw that Shenlu was young and handsome. At that time, Shenlu was not fat and had hundreds of millions of assets. His personality was simple and gentle, and he didn't have the domineering attitude of other rich people of his age. She secretly had feelings for Shenlu. Although she knew that Shenlu already had a girlfriend, Xi Mengwan still didn't give up. She teased and hinted that she wanted to get into Shenli's bed. Although Shenlu had a vicious tongue, he had also experienced emotional pain. He cherished and was loyal in relationships. He was never ambiguous. Naturally, he didn't take the bait and even asked Xi Mengwan to respect herself. Otherwise, they couldn't even be friends. Xi Mengwan's first plan didn't work, so she came up with another plan. She photoshopped intimate photos of her and Shenlu and sent them to Zhengli to sow discord and let Zhengli know that she was leaving. However, Zhengli knew Shenli's character and trusted him. She was not moved at all. She was annoyed and scolded Xi Mengwan in the chat. Xi Mengwan pestered Shenlu a few more times, but Shenlu was still stubborn. She was defeated and resentful. After the project ended, she didn't contact Shenlu again. However, when such a thing happened at this time, people couldn't help but think, Xi Mengwan was also getting married today and had booked the whole hotel. She was obviously back to slap Shenlu and Zhengli. Chapter 874. The hotel has been booked by Xi Mengwan and her husband. The wedding planner rubbed his hands and smiled bitterly. The hotel manager said that Xi Mengwan intends to spend 50 million to buy some shares of this hotel. To put it bluntly, she is now the owner of this hotel. This is also the reason why the hotel management did not inform us in advance. They dare not go against the boss's opinion. In my opinion, Xi Mengwan's purpose is to slap your two families in the face. The faces of Shenlu and Zhengli's families were ashen, as if they had eaten a fly. They were extremely disgusted. The wedding planner smiled bitterly and sighed. Xi Mengwan did not hesitate to spend 50 million just for a slap in the face. This woman is quite crazy. This is the situation. Let's quickly think of a countermeasure. What do you two think? They are breaching the contract. We can sue them. Shenli's father was a small boss. He was not so shrewd. He immediately said angrily, "Yes, there is a penalty for breach of contract." The wedding planner smiled bitterly. "When we signed the contract, we paid the hotel a total of more than 5 million for the venue, meal, and other expenses. The penalty for breach of contract is half. It is set at 2.5 million. The problem is, if you go to court, it will be 10 days later. Isn't this marriage also ruined by others?" Zhengli's father glared at Shenli's father and frowned. They did not hesitate to spend 50 million to slap Shenlu and Zhengli's faces. Do they lack 2 million? Even if we have to compensate you, we will make you uncomfortable and unhappy. Then what should we do? Shenli's father looked bitter and helpless. He frowned and said, "What's the matter?" He frowned and said, "The guests are all here, but they are not allowed to enter. Our two families will lose face." Changing the hotel at the last minute, and missing the auspicious day. Which hotel in Linzhou can accommodate thousands of guests? Only Qianxishengtian can. Just when everyone was at their wits' end, Xinlu also called and said anxiously, "Dad, wait a moment. Our wedding car team is blocked." What? He was blocked by someone. It's almost 12 o'clock. Shenli's father broke out in cold sweat. It can't be helped. It seems that Xi Mengzhuan's wedding car team collided with ours. Shenlu was also very depressed. Don't worry, there's a situation at the hotel. Shenli's father could only hang up the phone. What the hell is going on? A perfectly good wedding had been turned into a complete mess. At that moment, the groomsmen came over and learned about the situation. Sun Qingyu volunteered. Uncle Zheng, Uncle Shen, don't worry. Let's go and take a look. All right. Little son, you go. Little son's family is from the local tax bureau. How would a restaurant owner dare to not give them face? Zheng Li's father's face lit up as he hurriedly said. Sun Qingyu smiled proudly and said, "It's just a small matter. How can such a small character dare to mess with us?" Then he strode into the hotel. However, Sun Qingyu did not return for a long time. Following that, several reputable groomsmen went in to negotiate with the hotel. Everyone waited anxiously outside the hotel. It was already 11:30, but there was still no response. On the other side of the hotel, moving music could be heard. The MC was shouting exaggeratedly, and the alluring smell of food could be smelled. At this moment, Shenlu and his wife's wedding car arrived. During this period of time, everyone had already contacted them. The result was not good. All the big and small hotels in Linzhou were full. There was no hotel that could provide a wedding venue. After all, it was already the end of the year. There were a lot of newlyweds. The appointments had started 3 months ago. It was already full. There was no choice. They still had to negotiate with Millennium Tianxing Hotel. The wedding could only be held there. In the wedding car, Zheng Li's face was a little pale. She was so angry that her delicate body was trembling slightly. She didn't expect such a thing to happen on her wedding day. Xinle hurriedly apologized. "I'm sorry, Zheng Li. It's my family's fault. I didn't give you a perfect wedding. If it doesn't happen today, I'll definitely hold a grand wedding for you." Zheng Li forced a smile and said, "Xinle, it's not your fault. This is Xi Mengzhuan's doing." At this moment, a figure in a white wedding dress walked out from the hotel lobby. Xi Mengwan was a model. Her figure was tall and outstanding. Her temperament was also excellent. To be honest, she completely suppressed Zheng Li. Because of the wedding, she had dressed up meticulously. Her black hair was in a beautiful bun, and she was wearing a real diamond tiara, a matching ruby necklace, and half-moon diamond earrings. She looked like she had walked out of the cover of a fashion magazine. Beside him, Sun Qingyu and the others followed him out with drooping eyes. The situation didn't look good. Under the escort of a few bridesmaids, Xi Mengwan walked quickly in her high heels. She was wearing a white long glove and holding a glass of red wine. Her face was slightly tipsy and her eyes were filled with joy. "Shenle, Zheng Li, are you satisfied with this wedding banquet?" Xi Mengwan came to the entrance of the hotel and looked at the newlyweds in the wedding car proudly. "Damn, it's fine if you bully us. You even dare to challenge us." Zheng Li was furious. She opened the door and got out of the car. She said angrily, "Xi Mengwan, you've gone too far." Shenle quickly picked up a windbreaker and put it on Zheng Li. He gently advised, "Forget it, Zheng Li. You're pregnant. Don't catch a cold." Xi Mengwan was arrogant and said with a mocking face, "Have I gone too far? So what if I've gone too far? I'm rich, so I can be willful. Spending 2.5 million to embarrass you, I think it's worth it. If you have the guts, bite me. Haha, from today onwards, you young Master Shen will be the laughing stock of the entire Linzhou. Do you have money? Do you have status? In the end, you still let thousands of guests accompany you to drink the northwest wind." At this moment, Xi Mengwan felt a kind of extreme pleasure. The pleasure of revenge. She did not come from a good family. Her early life was homeless and her childhood was very dark and unfortunate. She developed a contradictory mentality of inferiority and narcissism. Although her identity as a supermodel allowed her to enjoy a lot of attention and glory, it still could not fill the black hole of inferiority in her heart. Every time she was embarrassed, she would have an irritated reaction. She must return it 10 times, 100 times. Especially in the case of Shenlu, she had tasted a deep sense of defeat and humiliation. Beauty, figure, charm, and the fame of being an international supermodel were her assets that she was proud of. In her opinion, there was no man in the world who could resist her fatal temptation. But Shenli's decisiveness made her feel defeated and ashamed. Every time she thought of it, she was in extreme pain. People like Xi Mingwan were used to blaming others for their mistakes and taking revenge to reverse the psychological imbalance. So, she had never reflected that she did not know how to love and respect herself. She acted as a third party and stole from others, which was why she was humiliated. Instead, she thought that Shenlu had no taste and did not know her charm. She thought that Zhengli took advantage of her family's wealth to steal the man she loved, hurt her, and humiliated her. So, when she obtained some resources and thought that she could crush Zhengli and Shenlu, she simply took revenge. Xi Mengjuan's words were like a knife, ruthlessly stabbing Zhengli's heart, causing her delicate body to tremble. The Zheng and Shen families were so angry that they almost vomited blood. Do you have to have others like you just because you like them? You are not money. Why are you loved by everyone? Simply unreasonable. At this time, Sun Qingyu walked over and gently advised, "Forget it, Zhengli, Shenlu, don't fight with them. You can't win." Xuzhe hesitated and smiled bitterly. Her husband is the son of Singapore's president, Li Xianlong. The people who attended their wedding are all big shots that we can't afford to offend. Lingnan's Tang Weimin. America's Hilton family's eldest daughter, Paris Hilton. Morgan family's head, Old Morgan. Rockefeller family's eldest son. And Singapore's eldest daughter, Guo Lily of the Guo family. This Millennium Grand Sky Hotel is controlled by Guo Lily. Millennium Hotel Group was originally the Guo family's property. He took a deep breath and said mysteriously, "I heard that even Yanjing's Mo family's Mo Yuza is attending." Finally, Xuzhe shook his head and sighed. "Don't fight with them. They are too powerful. You can't afford to offend them. If you cause trouble, it will be a foreign incident, and the nature of it will be very serious. Even if you have a lot of connections, you won't be able to cover it up." Every time Xuzhe said a name, everyone's hearts trembled as if they were being hammered. Every time he said a word, everyone's faces turned paler. By the time he finished, everyone's faces were paler than a corpse that had been dead for 3 days. These were all very important people. It seems that Xi Mingwan has really climbed up the social ladder, and we can't afford to offend her. Shenlu and Zhengli might not have a good ending after offending such a person. Chapter 875. The reason why Xuzhe mentioned the names of the guests attending Xi Mengjuan's wedding was to let Shenlu and Zhengli know who they had offended. They were about to face a powerful and terrifying existence. It was also to let them understand what Xuzhe and the groomsmen were going to do next. At this time, Lu Dongqing was a little ashamed and apologetic. "Shenlu and Zhengli, why don't you find a hotel to hold the wedding tonight? We'll definitely attend. I'll go in and have a meal first, I'm really hungry. Then you go. After all, we haven't arranged the banquet yet. We're too neglectful." Zhengli's face was pale as she forced a smile. Sparkling tears were rolling in her eyes. She restrained herself for a long time, but still she didn't cry. Shenli's face was full of humiliation, but at this time, they were clearly not giving him face. He couldn't say anything else and could only smoke silently. Zhou Maoan frowned and said angrily, "Brothers, this isn't good. Aren't we slapping Shenli's face at this critical time? How can Shenli get out of this?" Sun Qingyu explained with a wry smile. "There's no other way. My father also came over with Dun. He just asked me to go over. How can I not go?" He quickly added, "Shenlu and Zhengli, don't think too much. We're still friends. Sometimes, in the underworld, you can't help yourself. Please understand, okay?" In the end, besides Zhou Maoan, Xu Zhe and the other young masters also expressed that they wanted to attend Shi Mengjuan's wedding. After all, in their eyes, Shi Mengjuan's partner was the son of a country's head of state. Shenle couldn't compare at all. Okay, you can go. I understand. Zheng Li's face stiffened and tears finally rolled down her cheeks. She quickly wiped her tears and squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. She said in a trembling voice, "We'll inform you when we book the hotel. You're still welcome to attend our wedding." It's been hard on you. Shen Li's face was full of sorrow. He said with shame and emotion, "Zheng Li, don't worry. I'll make it up to you for the rest of my life." In this situation, Zheng Li didn't cry out loud and didn't make a fuss. She was already very sensible. Shen Li's parents were also very apologetic, but they couldn't do anything. They could only let their daughter-in-law suffer. "Shenlu, Zheng Li, did you see that? Even your groomsmen are attending my wedding." Shi Mengwan sipped her red wine and said proudly, "Do you feel abandoned by the whole world? You're even worse than a beggar. Let me tell you, this is just the beginning. Just wait for my thunderous fury and crazy revenge. From now on, I will be the First Lady of Singapore. I will eat all of you until not even your bones are left. Shi Mengwan, hurry up and give the hotel to my brother. I really want to see him walk into a happy marriage." At this moment, Jiang Tian walked out of the car with his hands behind his back and said calmly, "Also, we're going in to eat. My wife is hungry." Having crushed Shen Lu and Zheng Li, the adulterous pair, Shi Mengwan was feeling proud of herself. How satisfying! How satisfying! It felt so good. I feel like the shadow in my heart has disappeared in an instant. The whole world was bright and sunny. However, she had never expected that someone would be so blind as to jump out and say such words. She was instantly enraged. Didn't he know that her in-laws were influential? That was an entire country. Who would dare to offend them? "Don't you know that I'm Li Xianlong's daughter-in-law?" Shi Mengwan was arrogant and looked at Jiang Tian with contempt. She looked at him as if he was an idiot. "Don't you know that even the provincial officials are attending my wedding? What kind of influential background do you have? How dare you act so rashly?" She crossed her arms in front of her chest, and with the other hand, she pretended to shake the red wine glass a few times and took a sip. Only with such a superior attitude could she show her disregard for Shen Lu, Zheng Li, and all their relatives. Only with such arrogance could Shen Lu understand what he had missed out on. Only then could Zheng Li realize that she was no match for her. "Li Xianlong? He's just a dog that I raised. Let him come out and call me master." Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Dead silence. The moment he said that, the whole place was dead silent. Everyone stared at Jiang Tian with their mouths agape, not daring to believe their eyes. Oh my God! Where did this young man come from? How dare he call Li Xianlong a dog? He's the head of state. This is going to kill someone. What the fuck, is this kid crazy? Sun Qingyu jumped in fright. He wanted to cover Jiang Tian's mouth to stop him from spouting nonsense. Most of the guests didn't know Jiang Tian's background. They only thought that Jiang Tian was a lunatic who was going to cause trouble. Zheng Li's father was so scared that his face turned pale. He ran to Zheng Jiushuan's car window and shouted, "Brother, who is this Mr. Jiang? Something is going to happen. Why don't you go out and talk to him? What are you panicking for? How would you know Master Kang's background?" Zheng Jiushuan sat in the car motionlessly. There was a hint of mockery on his old face. "Don't stop her. This crazy woman can bully my Zheng family, but she dares to provoke Master Kang. I'll make sure she dies." As expected, Shi Mengwan had already jumped up and shouted, "You bastard, kneel down and admit your mistake." Smack. Jiang Tian raised his hand and slapped Shi Mengwan across the face. She fell to the ground. Shi Mengjuan's cheek was broken and blood seeped out. She touched a handful of blood and screamed like a madwoman. "How dare you hit me? How dare you hit me? Do you know how much my face is worth?" Shi Mengjuan's younger brother had accompanied her out earlier. When he saw this, he immediately pointed at Jiang Tian and closed in on him. He shouted angrily, "How dare you hit me? Do you want to die?" Smack. Jiang Tian slapped him again and sent him flying more than 10 meters away. His head was bleeding and he lay there motionless. No one knew if he was dead or alive. In an instant, there was a dead silence. Only the whistling of the north wind and the flying snow could be heard. Everyone looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief, dumbfounded. It was no exaggeration for Shi Mengwan to say that he was a relative of the emperor. Who would dare to hit him? This battle had caused quite a commotion. Immediately, Shi Mengwan's family members came out and pointed at Jiang Tian and scolded him. Shi Mengwan was born in a poor family. Almost all of her family members used to be gangsters or unemployed people. Although they were dressed luxuriously, their temperament was rough and their behavior was frivolous. They still gave people the feeling that they were monkeys wearing hats. After suddenly becoming rich, they felt that the entire world was theirs. They were extremely arrogant. How could they tolerate this? Everyone was filled with righteous indignation and scolded Jiang Tian fiercely. Shi Mengwan's father spat a mouthful of thick phlegm and roared loudly. Do you know who our Mengwan is? Boy, do you know that you're in trouble? You can't afford to offend our Shi family. He waved his rough hand and shouted, Call Tang over. I'd like to see what kind of explanation he'll give me. There are such unruly bandits under his rule. He put his hands on his waist, revealing the Patek Philippe on his arm. He shouted with vigor like a big shot. Call my son-in-law over, and let him call the national figures. I don't believe that I can't take care of you. Since Li Xianlong's son was coming, Jiang Tian was too lazy to make a move. At the wedding, the groom Li Fifan had drunk so much that his face was red. He said with some reverence, Tang, as far as I know, Linzhou is the second hometown of Master Kong of Singapore, the protector of Singapore, the leader of Tianqing School, the king of Sidoni, and the strongest man on the Holy See's divine list, Kong Teichu. Is that right? I think there should be some relics left by Master Kong here. Tang, please bring me here to pay my respects. That's easy. Tang Weiman nodded and smiled. Actually, with your father's relationship with Master Kong, it's not a problem to visit Master Kong in Sidoni. Li Fifan said with a bitter face. Alas, I've admired Master Kong for a long time. But my father said that I'm young and useless, so he didn't bring me to meet him. Tang Weiman changed the topic and said with a smile, Where's the bride? Why did she go downstairs halfway through the toast? At this time, a bodyguard rushed up and shouted in English. Oh no, the bride was beaten by someone downstairs. What? Li Fifan couldn't believe it. He looked downstairs and was immediately enraged. He saw Shi Mengwan still lying on the ground, and a young man standing there with his hands behind his back, full of arrogance. He was furious and said coldly, Tang, you have to give me an explanation for this. You must punish the culprit. Tape? What tape? Tang Weiman looked downstairs and suddenly his pupils shrank. He smiled bitterly. Mr. Li, I'm afraid this is troublesome. The one who beat her is Master Kong. Li Fifan was stunned and said in surprise, Jiang, Master Kong? Which Master Kong? Could it be? Yes. Tang Weiman smiled bitterly and explained, the Spring Festival is coming. He brought his wife back to Linzhou to celebrate the Spring Festival. He sighed and said with a puzzled face, but how did Shi Mengwan get into trouble with him? Fifan, your wife is so blind. She's in big trouble. At this moment, Paris Hilton hurriedly walked up to the two of them and told them everything that had happened. Li Fifan's face changed drastically and he exclaimed, How could this happen? Go and solve it. I remind you, Master Kong can kill people when he's angry. Paris said helplessly. Everyone, what should I do? This time it's over for me. I'll be killed. Li Fifan was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. He was out of his wits. Now Jiang Tian was not just the Grand Preceptor of Singapore. He was the Lord of Sidoni, the most powerful country in the world. Such a country could even shake the United States. It had changed the international situation. It was not just the Li Xianlong family relying on Jiang Tian alone. The entire Singapore had abandoned the United States and was willing to be Sidoni's vassal. That was the established national policy. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.